Chapter 551. Chapter 551. I'm also at the Dharma manifestation realm, our strength isn't far apart.
General Zhang, in a few days when you all go to explore the 9th level, let me go in your place.
Shen Mo spoke earnestly.
As for you, you have another task.
Zhang Longxiang asked curiously.
What task?
Shen Mo replied seriously.
There's more than one passage between the 9th and 8th levels. You should wait at another passage.
Zhang Longxiang caught the meaning in his words.
You want me to intercept any remaining demons?
Shen Mo nodded.
That's right.
Zhang Longxiang nodded.
All right, I trust you.
After Shen Mo left, Zhang Longxiang took out the Jinyu Nirvana pellet and immediately began refining it. The power of the Saint Pill was incredibly vast, like a waterfall from the 9th heaven, quickly washing over his entire body. His hidden injuries, under such tremendous medicinal force, rapidly healed. His cultivation realm also rose steadily. In an instant, he returned to the peak of the Dharma manifestation realm. Zhang Longxiang had accumulated at the peak of Dharma manifestation for a long time, with deep foundations. The immense medicinal power of the Jinyu Nirvana pellet became the opportunity for a breakthrough. His realm didn't just stop at the peak of the Dharma manifestation realm, but shot straight toward Nirvana realm. However, reaching Nirvana required burning the Dharma manifestation with an external flame. Zhang Longxiang did not have such a divine object. And with the medicinal power of the Jinyu Nirvana pellet exhausted, his breakthrough stalled. He was now stuck between the Dharma manifestation and Nirvana realms. Strictly speaking, Zhang Longxiang was now half a step into the Nirvana realm. His strength was enough to suppress nearly all peak Dharma manifestation cultivators. But he was still lacking compared to a true Nirvana expert. Buzz! Zhang Longxiang suddenly opened his eyes, full of satisfaction. If not for Shen Mo, he'd never have reached this half-step Nirvana realm. Now, he had gained over 100 more years of life. In the future, he might even break through to the legendary Nirvana realm.
Shen Mo.
Zhang Longxiang's heart stirred, emotions running high. 5 days later. On a small island at the center of the Demon Suppression Sea. Bai Liaoyu, Tang Jinglong, Shi Tian, Lang Ben, Ao Qin, and Ao Guang 6 Dharma manifestation experts were gathered. No one else was present, everyone here was a Dharma manifestation powerhouse. If any of them stomped their feet, the entire Demon Suppression Sea would tremble.
Why isn't Zhang Longxiang here yet? He's always so punctual.
Tang Jinglong frowned. Bai Liaoyu drank some wine.
Who knows? Old Zhang's been busy lately, running back and forth to Qingxuan Fortress's armory every day.
Ao Qin smiled.
The armaments from Qingxuan Fortress are indeed good. My cold dragon fortress has bought quite a few.
He glanced at Ao Guang beside him on purpose.
Much better quality and price than the ones from Panlong Fortress.
Ao Guang, a yellow dragon, snorted coldly.
The best ones are all kept at Qingxuan Fortress. Only the second-rate ones are sold to you.
Ao Qin, I never plan to sell you armaments anyway. Even if you double the price, I still won't sell.
Panlong Fortress could make some armaments, especially various battle platforms. But ever since Qingxuan Fortress's production exploded, Panlong Fortress's armaments haven't sold well, and their sales have been dismal.
Someone's coming!
Lang Ben suddenly narrowed his eyes, looking in that direction. The other Dharma manifestation experts also looked over. Then they realized the person coming wasn't Zhang Longxiang, but a young yet familiar figure. Shen Mo. Among those present, except for Bai Liaoyu and Ao Guang, all the others had met Shen Mo before.
Senior fellows, it's been a while.
Shen Mo greeted them with a smile.
Why are you here? Where's Zhang Longxiang?
Tang Jinglong asked, surprised. Shen Mo smiled.
General Zhang has other matters to attend to. I'll be taking his place for this trip to the 9th level. I'm also at the Dharma manifestation realm. Our strength isn't much different.
Chapter 552. Deep into the 9th level of Demon Suppression Sea. After Shen Mo finished speaking, Ao Qin and Lang Ben both nodded. They had witnessed Shen Mo's strength firsthand, and naturally acknowledged his words.
It's fine then, let's go.
Shi Tian also nodded his agreement. But suddenly, Ao Guang looked at Shen Mo and said,
Shen Mo, I heard your Qingxuan fortress is tinkering with a new type of war machine again. If it works out, I hope to see its might with my own eyes. I'd like to see how it compares to the new countercurrent battle platform we've developed at Panlong Fortress.
The countercurrent battle platform was a new station built by Panlong Fortress in recent years, bigger, stronger, and more formidable. A single countercurrent battle platform could accommodate dozens of wave-cutting platforms and more than 10 wave-cleaving platforms, and its firepower was even greater. Many demon suppression fortresses had already spent large amounts of military merit to reserve one. Shen Mo had already heard about the countercurrent battle platform from Li Haitan and Wu Zhanyun. Shen Mo smiled.
Don't worry, General Ao Guang, you'll see it soon enough.
It was clear Ao Guang was deliberately picking a fight. Panlong Fortress had closer ties to the demon race. Being a dragon, and with the longevity of the flood dragons, Ao Guang had turned to studying arrays, talismans, and military equipment after realizing he could no longer break through. However, he was a jack of all trades but master of none. His knowledge was broad but shallow. Ao Guang's personality was extreme and prone to jealousy. Anyone better than him in these fields he would envy. Shen Mo had long heard about the temperament of the master of Panlong Fortress. With a great battle imminent, he couldn't be bothered to deal with it. Ao Guang had thrown a punch, but Shen Mo didn't take it, leaving Ao Guang with the feeling of strength with nowhere to spend it. Bai Liaoyu let out a low chuckle, saying nothing. Ao Guang relied on his seniority and always flaunted his age. Now that Shen Mo had left him speechless, the others could barely hide their amusement.
Let's go, it's time to see what's really going on at the 9th level. It's about time we got an answer as to what's happened to the Master of Authority among the demon race,
said Tang Jinglong as he looked at the group. All the experts at the manifestation realm nodded slightly. Immediately, they plunged deep into the demon suppression sea. A group of manifestation realm experts advancing together created an immensely oppressive atmosphere. Wherever they went, not a single demon suppression guard dared stop them. They were all let through without question. Thus, they quickly reached the 9th level. The environment on the 9th level was extremely dark. You could barely see your hand in front of your face. Of course, this was after the mass death of the demon race, with their demonic energy diluted. At their peak, the demon race made this place pitch black. Not a trace of light could be seen. Even as manifestation realm experts, even using spiritual power and blood energy to protect their eyes, they could only see within 100 or so feet around themselves. This was the demon race's terrain advantage, one of their most powerful means of resisting the demon suppression fortresses.
So this is the 9th level. It doesn't look much different from the previous 8.
Lang Ben's eyes glowed green as he looked around an ability unique to the wolf race. In this kind of environment, the demon race was much more at home than humans.
There are a lot of demon corpses over there. Let's go take a look.
Shi Tian stretched out a paw and pointed in one direction. The manifestation realm experts immediately followed. Sure enough, there were many fallen demons along the way, including some true demon lords at the peak.
There are even several demon emperors dead here.
Bai Liaoyu frowned, even putting away the wine flask he had been holding to his lips, clearly troubled by what he saw.
Look, there's a massive hall over there.
Chapter 553, No Need to Run, This Emperor is Here. That enormous shadow of the hall could be seen from far away. But actually getting close to it felt as if there were mountains and rivers between them. As the saying goes, looking at a mountain can kill a horse running toward it. Everyone present was a Dharma manifestation realm expert, their speed extremely fast. Yet even so, they had to fly for a full 2 hours before finally arriving at the front of the hall. Only when they stood before it could they truly sense its ruggedness and grandeur. This hall was 1,000 zhang tall. It was supported by just 4 massive stone pillars. All around it were stacked countless gigantic stone bricks. Each stone brick was 3 zhang long, 2 zhang wide, and 2 zhang high. Such a scale of construction was clearly not something lesser demons could accomplish. After all, the rocks here had been soaked in demonic energy for ages, making them extremely hard and heavy. Lesser demons would have trouble just moving them, let alone excavating.
There must be something extremely important to the demon race enshrined here. It's very likely the legendary Undying Demon Emperor's body.
Lang Ben said solemnly.
Look, the statue inside.
Tang Jinglong's eyes widened as he gazed into the hall. At first, they'd all thought that massive figure was just a statue. But then Tang Jinglong noticed the statue actually moved ever so slightly. He realized at once it was no statue at all, but a living demon. So huge, so imposing. Its identity was self-evident. It was the Undying Demon Emperor. Clang, clang, clang. Everyone drew their weapons, going on full alert. Shen Mo, meanwhile, looked at the Undying Demon Emperor, deep in thought. He couldn't see anything from that body. There was no demon life panel. This meant the other party was not a living being, but a dead thing. The Undying Demon Emperor's deliberate movement was clearly being controlled by Qingxuan behind the scenes, all to attract their attention. So what was Qingxuan's real goal? Shen Mo looked all around, pondering. Rumble. Suddenly, the Undying Demon Emperor's massive body moved. One moment, it was still standing inside the hall. The next, it abruptly charged out. A pair of enormous hands descended from the sky, enveloped in vast demonic energy, and slammed down. The instant those hands crashed down, it was as if the heavens themselves were collapsing. A nameless despair welled up from deep inside everyone. This was a great demon emperor. Lang Ben cried out in shock.
He's actually still alive.
Shi Tian growled.
A full force strike from the great demon emperor. We can't withstand it, retreat at once.
Tang Jinglong shouted.
Send word to Zhang Longxiang and Zhu Xuanji immediately. The Undying Demon Emperor has revived. Get ready.
Everyone present was truly a Dharma manifestation realm expert. Even with fear in their hearts, they reacted instantly. They immediately retreated. They immediately sent word to the other Dharma manifestation realm experts. Bang! The giant hand crashed down. The group's reaction was quick. They weren't struck directly, but were still hit by the tidal wave kicked up by the impact. It was just the shockwave and air blast. Yet even the aftershock of the great demon emperor's blow was enough to send all these Dharma manifestation experts flying, gravely wounded. In an instant, every Dharma manifestation realm expert coughed up blood, their faces ashen. Their spirit weapons were all simultaneously shattered into pieces, littering the ground. Shen Mo didn't reveal his strength right away. Instead, he went with the flow and was sent flying like the others. Because Qingxuan had yet to appear. He had to wait for Qingxuan to show himself before he could truly seize victory.
I'll cover the rear, you all run.
Tang Jinglong roared, unleashing his Dharma manifestation. In an instant, his manifested form swelled to its largest, 100 jang tall. But compared to the Undying Demon Emperor, it was still as insignificant as an ant.
No need to run, this emperor is here.
Chapter 554, Xiao Guang will always serve at your side. All the Dharma manifestation realm experts turned around at once. Immediately, they saw a tall, imposing middle-aged man. This man radiated dignity, his bearing like that of a dragon or a tiger. He was clad in pitch-black armor. Though he simply stood there with his hands behind his back, silent and unmoving. He seemed as immovable as a great mountain, as deep as an endless sea. It made it hard for anyone to even breathe. Every Dharma manifestation realm expert present looked on guard. For such a mysterious human to appear here on the 9th level of the Demon Suppression Sea was truly bizarre. He hadn't used a single martial skill, yet his aura was terrifying. Anyone could tell he was not someone to be trifled with. Ao Qin and Ao Guang, upon seeing the man's face, were inexplicably stunned. They immediately stared at him intently, as if they'd witnessed something horrifying. Ao Guang exclaimed in shock.
You!
The middle-aged man smiled faintly.
Have you forgotten this emperor's face? Or have you forgotten the etiquette you should observe?
As soon as he finished speaking, his aura suddenly surged. In an instant, a fine dust rose up and completely shrouded the surroundings. The other Dharma manifestation realm experts didn't feel much. But Ao Qin and Ao Guang felt as if a mountain had suddenly pressed down on their backs, forcing them toward the ground. Boom, boom, boom. These two ancient flood dragons were compelled, inch by inch, to crawl down toward the earth. In the end, they lay on the ground like earthworms, stripped of all dignity. Bai Liaoyu, Tang Jinglong, Shitian, and Lang Ben all watched in shock. Standing right beside them, they didn't feel a thing. Yet Ao Qin and Ao Guang were groveling like insects. The man's control over his strength was terrifying. He could suppress Ao Qin and Ao Guang so precisely, without affecting anyone else at all.
And you all, aren't you going to kneel?
The middle-aged man glanced at the others and spoke calmly. Boom! A tremendous pressure suddenly bore down on everyone's shoulders.
Who are you?
Bai Liaoyu gritted his teeth, struggling against the weight, and forced out a question. The middle-aged man smiled serenely.
Ao Guang, tell them this emperor's name.
The crushing force on Ao Guang finally faded. Relieved, he quickly spoke up.
Standing before you is the very first human emperor of Jingguo, the sole ruler of this world, the lord of the humans, monsters, and flood dragons. Qingxuan.
At these words, Bai Liaoyu, Tang Jinglong, Shitian, and Lang Ben all wore looks of disbelief. Even though Qingxuan had addressed himself as
This emperor,
just now giving them a hint. Hearing Ao Guang speak, the truth out loud was still almost unbelievable. The human emperor Qingxuan. Hadn't he died thousands of years ago? How could a figure thought buried by the dust of history suddenly appear on the 9th level of the demon suppression sea? Especially when the monster race's rulers had just been mysteriously slain. And the undying monster emperor had suddenly stirred. All these events swirled together in the minds of the Dharma manifestation experts, but they couldn't string it all together at once. Their thoughts were in turmoil, impossible to sort out. As soon as Ao Guang finished speaking, he hurried to Qingxuan's side. He instantly shrank his body and knelt respectfully at Qingxuan's feet.
Human emperor, I have always remembered you. I have never forgotten you. When you passed away, I mourned for more than 100 years, unable to eat or sleep. Now that you have finally returned, Xiao Guang will always serve at your side.
Chapter 555. Why would you think this emperor would cooperate with ants? Qingxuan smiled.
Ao Guang, you were always quick-witted. Even after so many years, your nature hasn't changed.
He reached out and gently stroked Ao Guang's head. Ao Guang, like a clingy little cat, showed a look of bliss after being petted by his master. Ao Qin looked on with disgust.
Ao Guang, look at yourself. Do you have any dignity left as a flood dragon?
You're the oldest and most senior of the 4 sea kings, yet you're willing to be a mount for a human. You've completely disgraced the flood dragon clan.
Ao Qin growled, trying to restrain his anger. Ao Guang was a flood dragon, so his expression was hard to read. But everyone could sense his face turning pale, then green. Ao Guang sneered.
The human emperor is the rightful master of all under heaven. Submitting to him is only natural. All of you should kneel before His Majesty the human emperor.
Shitian took a deep breath and said in a low voice.
Qingxuan, why has the undying demon emperor revived, and why have you appeared here? We need an explanation.
Tang Jinglong said gravely.
Qingxuan, we respect you as the human emperor, but the death of the demon rulers must have something to do with you. We could cooperate and completely wipe out the demons. Only then will this world finally be cleansed.
Qingxuan laughed.
Cooperate? Why would you think this emperor would cooperate with ants? The demons may deserve to be exterminated in your eyes, but in mine, they are an important arm.
He pointed at the undying demon emperor's mountain-like body.
See that? The body of a great demon emperor is terrifying. Even all of you together are no match for a single dead great demon emperor. You are not worthy to cooperate with me.
Qingxuan said calmly.
You're better suited to be living souls, helping me cross the void. Extracting the primordial spirits of Dharma manifestation realm experts like you as living souls will last far longer than those of ordinary cultivators.
At these words, everyone's face changed dramatically. Even Ao Guang, who was groveling at Qingxuan's feet, felt his heart tremble. As Dharma manifestation realm experts, they all understood what living souls were. Many demonic arts speak of them. Once your living soul is extracted, you will never enter reincarnation, forever becoming a puppet in someone else's hands. Demons are especially skilled at extracting living souls, refining them into evil or killing spirits. They can use them to strengthen themselves or as martial techniques. No one expected Qingxuan to have his eyes set on them. He wanted to pull out their primordial spirits and refine them as living souls. Combined with Qingxuan's other words, it was clear that the undying demon emperor was closely connected to this man. He was certainly no friend. He was the enemy.
Retreat now! Quick, inform the other Dharma manifestation realm monsters.
The group shouted, desperately unleashing their Dharma manifestations.
Don't bother struggling. The area around the hall is already sealed by a formation. No transmission jade will work here. Just accept your fate and become my living souls.
Chapter 556, Lord of Three Races, Son of Heaven's Will, Myriad Demon Nirvana Body. Name Qingxuan. Realm Nirvana Realm Beginner. Fate, rising from humble origins, Lord of Three Races, Founding Monarch, Son of Heaven's Will, Star of Calamity, Mastermind, Celestial Bearing, Grandmaster of Blade and Sword, Myriad Demon Nirvana Body, Death and Rebirth. Rising from humble origins, White Fate. You were born in a mining pit, your parents passed away early, and you were a mining slave from the moment you were born. Lord of Three Races, Gold Fate. You earned the recognition of the human, monster, and flood dragon races, becoming the common ruler of all three. Your fame shakes the world, known by all. Founding Monarch, Red Fate. You defeated the demons and established Jingguo, becoming the first human emperor and founding monarch of Jingguo. Son of Heaven's Will, Gold Fate. You led the three races to suppress the demons in the Demon Suppression Sea, winning the favor of Heaven's Will. In this world, you are as the incarnation of Heaven's Will, suppressed by none. Star of Calamity, Red Fate. You have never had any truly close friends, family, or confidants. Even if you did, they would all die tragically due to various accidents. Mastermind, Red Fate. Your mind is meticulous and you excel at strategy. Your plans can span millennia and remain flawless. Celestial Bearing, Gold Fate. Your looks are peerless and flawless, like an immortal descending to the mortal world. Regardless of gender or age, everyone's first impression of you is favorable, and you can easily persuade them. Grandmaster of Blade and Sword, Gold Fate. Your skill in blade and sword arts is unrivaled. You cultivate blade and sword techniques at a speed far beyond ordinary people. Myriad Demon Nirvana Body, Gold Fate, Mid-Saint Grade Physique. Your body has been thoroughly transformed and refined by pure demonic energy, becoming the Myriad Demon Nirvana Body. You can absorb demonic energy at will without harm and convert it into spiritual power or blood energy. Death and Rebirth, Gold Fate. You are destined to undergo a calamity of death and resurrection. If you survive, your future will be limitless. If not, you will perish body and soul. Shen Mo couldn't help but marvel. As expected of the first human emperor, the son of Heaven's Will. These fates combined were even more astonishing than Xiao Fan, Yi Yan, and Lin Dongshan put together.
Time to go.
Chapter 557, When I journey to the great world, I will erect a monument for you. Tang Jinglong, Bai Liaoyu, and the others all looked at him in disbelief. They simply couldn't imagine how Shen Mo could stand there unharmed beneath such terrifying sword qi. Those 6 ancient, vast greatswords could actually contend against Qingxuan's terrifying sword energy. Ao Guang, who was kneeling at Qingxuan's feet, was stunned. He sensed that something was wrong. Qingxuan's cultivation was clearly at the Nirvana realm. For someone at the Nirvana realm to completely overpower the Dharma manifestation realm was only natural. No matter how powerful a spiritual artifact or secret art Shen Mo possessed, there was no way he should have been able to block Jai Xuan's casual strike. The only possibility was,
I never expected this, truly never expected this.
The mightiest of the three races has been trapped in the demon suppression fortress for thousands of years. Dharma manifestation realm experts have fallen one after another fighting the demons, and yet a nirvana realm has still emerged.
Jai Xuan looked at Shen Mo, his eyes filled with both shock and delight. He was shocked that even his flawless plan could encounter such an unforeseen variable. He was delighted because the opponent, like him, was also at nirvana. If he could kill him and extract his living soul, it would be worth far more than all the Dharma manifestation experts present combined. Jai Xuan's words sent waves crashing through the hearts of all who heard them. Nirvana realms. How could it be? Shen Mo had actually reached that legendary realm. Whether it was Bai Liaoyu or Tang Jinglong, Ao Qin or Ao Guang, Shi Tian or Lang Ben. At the very instant they heard Jai Xuan utter the words,
Nirvana realm.
they were all shaken to their core. Especially Ao Guang, who had lived the longest among all the Dharma manifestation experts. His gaze toward Shen Mo held not just shock but envy and fury. Why? He had lived for thousands of years, yet still lost out to a young human who hadn't even lived 100. He had struggled through endless years, poured his heart into studying arrays, talismans, weapons. Yet he still lost to a young human's tinkering in a matter of months. The more Ao Guang thought, the angrier he got. Rage and jealousy almost filled his chest to bursting.
What's your name?
Jai Xuan looked at Shen Mo, but his expression had already returned to calm. Unexpected variables were normal. After all, when he awoke, he had already discovered that the Taichai armor and demon hunter spear he'd prepared in advance were missing. His cultivation was only barely at nirvana realm. Not the minor completion stage of nirvana he had envisioned. So the emergence of another nirvana realm, though unexpected, was still within reason. Jai Xuan had ways to handle all of this. He was very confident in his own strength. Even if this young nirvana had extraordinary fortune and talent, he was still confident he could slay him. Shen Mo answered calmly.
Shen Mo.
Jai Xuan raised an eyebrow.
Mo, not bad, I like that character. After you die, your living soul will be mine. The living soul of a nirvana realm expert will be enough to help me cross the void. When I journey to the great world, I will erect a monument for you. Now be good and go to your death.
Chapter 558, Two Dharma Manifestations Empowering the True Blood Saint King's Body. After speaking, Jai Xuan reached out and made a gesture. Boom. All. After speaking, Jai Xuan reached out and made a gesture. Boom. All the demonic energy in the surroundings was swept away. In midair, a few giant black trees appeared. They were lush and thick with fruit. But upon closer inspection, the trunks were twisted and bizarre. The leaves were sheets of human skin, demon skin, flood dragon skin. The fruit turned out to be one terrifying head after another: human heads, demon heads, flood dragon heads. They wailed in agony at the treetops. Like a mind-piercing demonic sound, making it impossible to concentrate. It felt as if countless hands were reaching out from the sea, trying to drag their will into a pitch-black, icy abyss. Ao Qin clenched his teeth, resisting the invasion of the wailing against his mind. He looked up at the Dharma manifestation above Jai Xuan's head and frowned deeply.
I remember now, that's Jai Xuan's Dharma manifestation, called the creation sacred tree. The leaves are the evergreen leaf Dharma manifestation, the fruit is the millennium grain Dharma manifestation, and the trunk is the Kangwu wood Dharma manifestation. Both the fruit and trunk can be used as means of attack. The creation sacred tree Dharma manifestation is formed by merging those three Dharma manifestations into one. But in the past, the creation sacred tree was magnificent and radiant. How has it become so sinister and terrifying now?
Ao Qin couldn't believe it. Tang Jinglong braced himself against the wailing, speaking in a low voice.
It's probably been tainted by demonic energy, and even the Dharma manifestation was transformed by him.
Ao Qin was startled.
How is that possible? How could a Dharma manifestation be transformed?
Bai Liaoyu spoke in a low tone.
I don't know much about Qingxuan, but I know his comprehension is terrifying. With that kind of talent, he could likely accomplish something like this.
Ao Qin fell silent. That was true. Jai Xuan's comprehension was unparalleled, never seen before or since. With Jai Xuan's ability, reshaping his Dharma manifestation and making it even stronger was no real challenge.
Let's hope Shen Mo.
Shi Tian and Lang Ben came closer, clenching their teeth as well.
Go!
Jai Xuan glanced at Shen Mo and casually waved his hand. Suddenly, wild winds arose, sending the leaves rustling violently. A single leaf suddenly drifted down. In an instant, swathes of leaves began to fall. But none of them hit the ground. As if alive, they flew straight at Shen Mo. Halfway there, the leaves instantly transformed into gray butterflies with gnashing mouths, hungry for blood, about to devour Shen Mo completely. These gray butterflies descended from above, enveloping Shen Mo's whole body, leaving him no way to escape. Staring at these little things, Shen Mo's expression didn't change. His entire body erupted with blood energy. The Yuanxiang Dharma manifestation appeared. Its trunk curled downward, roaring toward the stars. A shadow of a giant blood-colored figure followed right after. Like a towering titan standing between heaven and earth. No matter which way the wind blew, he remained unshakable. This was exactly what was gained after cultivating the 7th level of divine elephant suppression prison strength, the true blood Saint King's body. Bang, bang, bang. Thousands upon thousands of gray butterflies crashed down. They smashed against the true blood Saint King's body. Like moths throwing themselves into the fire, exploding into clouds of gray mist. The blood-colored light covering the true blood Saint King's body only dimmed slightly, but was hardly damaged by Jai Xuan's attack. Jai Xuan raised his brows slightly. Chapter 559, The Battle Titan Shatters the Dharma Manifestation. Jai Xuan saw the 2 Dharma manifestations and smiled faintly.
2 Dharma manifestations, not bad. Seems that after this emperor, there are still geniuses in this world.
Jai Xuan waved his hand, and the creation's sacred tree was uprooted, charging straight at Shen Mo along with those savage heads. It was like a giant tree from the heavens crashing down, threatening to level Shen Mo and everything around him. Boom! In an instant, the twisted, monstrous tree and the terrifying heads engulfed the area around Shen Mo. Dust billowed, demonic energy churned. The place was completely shrouded in smoke, nothing visible. Jai Xuan's expression remained unchanged. His creation's sacred tree Dharma manifestation was the fusion of 3 peak heaven-grade Dharma manifestations. Unmatched in power. In the past, even the undying demon emperor perished under the full power of the creation's sacred tree Dharma manifestation. The young nirvana realm before him was no stronger than the undying demon emperor. He should die all the same. There was no other outcome. Bai Liaoyu, Tang Jinglong, and the other Dharma manifestation experts stared hard at the sky-filling dust. Their hearts were filled with sorrow. Was it over? A nirvana realm with unlimited promise had just appeared among them. Was it over this quickly? In the next instant, a sharp sword cry tore through the dust. A wild, imposing giant ape Dharma manifestation spun all 6 arms. It hurled 6 ancient greatswords with tremendous force. It was the Battle Titan Dharma manifestation. Wherever those ancient swords swept past, every ferocious head seemed to encounter its natural-born nemesis. They all shrank back in terror and shattered. The trunk of the creation's sacred tree was struck by all 6 void ancient swords at once. It didn't last long before exploding into countless splinters, scattering in all directions and dissolving into nothingness. Boom! The dust was instantly swept away. Shen Mo stood proudly where he was, completely unchanged. Jai Xuan's pupils constricted sharply. For the first time, his ever-calm expression showed a ripple of emotion. Even the undying demon emperor couldn't withstand this strike. Shen Mo had actually endured it. That meant Shen Mo's strength surpassed even the undying demon emperor. Tang Jinglong, Shi Tian, and the other Dharma manifestation experts all widened their eyes. Bai Liaoyu shouted joyfully.
Good, well done.
They hadn't imagined that not only was Shen Mo unharmed, but he had also destroyed Jai Qingxuan's creation's sacred tree Dharma manifestation. Everyone knew that once a Dharma manifestation was shattered, it would take a long time to condense again. During this time, Jai Qingxuan's power would be greatly diminished. Of course, Jai Qingxuan had surely cultivated demonic techniques, and perhaps could forcibly restore his Dharma manifestation through some secret art. But that would definitely leave hidden dangers. No matter what. In this first exchange, Shen Mo had taken the advantage over Jai Qingxuan.
Not bad, not bad.
Jai Qingxuan repeated himself. His gaze toward Shen Mo changed from disdain and contempt to genuine equality. Now, he finally regarded Shen Mo as an opponent of his own level.
Show your trump card.
Shen Mo replied calmly. He knew that Jai Qingxuan's schemes had spanned thousands of years, and he must have prepared for every possibility. Naturally, he would also have many trump cards to match.
I sense a familiar aura from you. The tame armor must be with you, right?
Jai Qingxuan spoke calmly. Shen Mo nodded slightly.
The tame armor and the demon hunter spear combined, that was one of my trump cards. But even if I've lost that card, it doesn't matter. To deal with you, I have myself and the undying demon emperor. That's enough.
Chapter 560, Zhao Yaolv and Lu Dongxuan. In front stood Jai Qingxuan, behind was the undying demon emperor. One in front and one behind, forming a pincer attack. No matter who it was, anyone caught in such a situation would have to worry about both sides, making defeat all too easy.
That's the same as two Nirvana realm experts besieging him at once. Can Shen Mo really withstand it?
Ao Qin was filled with fear.
It'll be difficult. We need to be ready.
Shi Tian said in a low voice.
We should take this chance to leave the area and contact as many Dharma manifestation experts as we can. Any help is better than none.
Tang Jinglong forced himself to stand up. They had all suffered serious injuries from the aftermath of Shen Mo and Jai Qingxuan's clash. It was already a blessing just to be able to stand now. But just then, a yellow figure blocked their path. It was Ao Guang. Ao Guang's eyes were conflicted.
You can't leave.
Ao Qin gnashed his teeth.
Ao Guang, are you even a flood dragon?
Ao Guang replied solemnly.
It's because I am a flood dragon that I so desperately want the true dragon inheritance. What I desire, he possesses it all.
At the mention of true dragon inheritance, even Ao Qin's heart trembled. In this world, there were only flood dragons. Since they could remember, not a single true dragon had ever appeared. They didn't even know the method for a flood dragon to transform into a true dragon. The true dragon inheritance was indeed a great temptation to any flood dragon.
We've all spent countless years in the demon suppression fortress. Don't force me to act.
Ao Guang sighed softly. Thanks to Jai Qingxuan's protection during the earlier battle, he was unscathed. Now he was at his peak, while the other Dharma manifestation experts were heavily wounded. If it really came to a fight, all of them together might not be Ao Guang's match.
Don't block the way.
Ao Qin took a few deep breaths and spoke in a deep voice. Ao Guang sighed.
Then don't blame me for being ruthless. For the true dragon inheritance, I'll do whatever it takes.
In the next moment, the two sides separated from Shen Mo and Jai Qingxuan's battlefield and started a fight of their own. Tang Jinglong, Bai Liaoyu, Shi Tian, Lang Ben, and Ao Qin, 5 Dharma manifestation experts, took turns fighting Ao Guang. In the distance, 2 figures, one tall and one short, slowly approached.
Little donkey, are you really the reincarnation of a spear spirit? You don't look like it.
The short figure curled their lip. The tall figure snorted.
I really am a spear spirit, the spear spirit of the demon hunter spear. I've looked into it long ago. The demon hunter spear was once the human emperor Jai Qingxuan's personal weapon, his most commonly used spiritual tool. They say it reached the saint rank.
Then proudly he added,
Heh, never thought I'd be the spear spirit of a Saintrank weapon.
The short figure hesitated.
Then you'd better not go over there. I'm afraid Qingxuan will try to use you.
The tall figure smiled slightly.
Senior sister, do you really think I made it all the way to Demon Suppression Sea without any preparation?
But I'm more worried about you. The undying demon emperor's bloodline might scare you into switching sides.
The short figure cursed.
Bullshit, like I'd ever side with the demon race. Let's go, time to fight.
The two of them moved forward together toward the battlefield. The light of battle illuminated their faces. They were Lu Dongxuan and Zhao Yalv. Lu Dongxuan, following his senses, had arrived at the 9th level. Zhao Yalv had noticed something was wrong with the demon race and had been hiding on the 9th level for a long time. The two had only just met. Catching them in the corner of his eye, Shen Mo shouted,
Senior sister, go up and bring down that big guy. Just say I sent you. If a dark-skinned guy doesn't believe you, just tell him he likes women with forked tongues. He'll believe you for sure.
Zhao Yalv froze for a moment, then nodded.
All right, I'm on it.
Chapter 561. How did both the 9 nether ice flame and the 9 heavens divine thunder flame end up on you? Qingxuan caught sight of Lu Dongxuan and Zhao Yalv out of the corner of his eye. His gaze lingered on Lu Dongxuan for a moment, his eyes flickering, but he said nothing.
You thought my Dharma manifestation was shattered, but that's not the case. The only thing that broke was the nether demon tree Dharma manifestation. It can shatter and recover at will, unlike other Dharma manifestations, which take a long time to restore once broken. Now, let me show you my 2 Dharma manifestations.
Qingxuan reached out, and 2 giant trees appeared out of thin air. The tree on the left was holy and magnificent, as if it embodied all that was true, good, and beautiful in the world. The tree on the right was twisted and grotesque, as if it embodied all that was false, evil, and ugly. Shen Mo raised his eyebrows. He seemed to understand something. After Qingxuan's resurrection, his Dharma manifestation had undergone demonic transformation and gradually split in 2. The sacred creation tree retained the holy, radiant, and grand qualities. The nether demon tree absorbed resentment, distortion, slaughter, and all other negative elements. Now, with both Dharma manifestations manifesting at once, Qingxuan's presence was at its peak. Shen Mo could feel it. With Qingxuan at the center, within 1,000 feet, he was the sole ruler. All enemies and anything unfavorable to him were instantly afflicted with negative effects. Dizziness, agitation, regret, anxiety, confusion.
This farce should end now.
Qingxuan waved his hand. The leaves, fruits, and trunk of the nether demon tree all came crashing down together. From the sacred creation tree, countless sharp sword lights and blade energies instantly formed, sweeping toward Shen Mo. The undying demon emperor also raised his giant hand high, gathering demonic energy and slamming down fiercely. Faced with this, Shen Mo remained utterly unafraid. A Dharma manifestation of a giant, flaming eye suddenly appeared. The blazing heaven eye Dharma manifestation. The instant this Dharma manifestation appeared, everything around seemed to slow down. Blade energy, sword light, the strikes from the Dharma manifestations, the demon emperor's giant palm.
I'll leave the undying demon emperor to you.
Shen Mo said calmly. Within his divine palace, a neutral voice and a crisp, childish voice rang out.
All right. Leave it to us.
Buzz. 2 flames suddenly burst out in Shen Mo's palms. One was ice-white, as if infused with an endless, ancient cold. The other was pure gold, entwined with thunder, radiating divine power. They were none other than the 9 nether ice flame and the 9 heavens divine thunder flame. Ranked 4th and 2nd on the heavenly flame ranking, respectively. They were especially effective against demons. They could be called the natural nemeses of the demon race. Letting them deal with the undying demon emperor was the best choice. In an instant, the ice-white and pure gold flames enveloped the undying demon emperor's arms, swiftly pouring through his mouth and nose into his body. In just the blink of an eye, the inside of the undying demon emperor began to glow. It was as if a furnace had ignited within him. Seeing this, Qingxuan was instantly shocked.
9 nether ice flame, 9 heavens divine thunder flame. How did both these heavenly flames end up on you?
Chapter 562, The Void Heavenly Melody Sacred Art Breaks All Barriers. Since awakening, this was the first time Qingxuan showed a look of shock. He naturally recognized the 9 nether ice flame and the 9 heavens divine thunder flame. Back then, he had also tried to subdue these 2 eternal flames. Unfortunately, he could never obtain them. Especially the 9 nether ice flameit would rather follow an ordinary person than be subdued by him. For the first time, Qingxuan realized that even being the child of heaven didn't mean he could do everything. Helpless, he could only choose to subdue other eternal flames. Fortunately, he was highly compatible with one of them. Without much effort, he managed to subdue it. Relying on its special abilities, Qingxuan was able to borrow the undying vitality of the undying demon emperor's body and complete his resurrection. Facing the attacks from the Nether Demon Tree Dharma manifestation and the Sacred Creation Tree Dharma manifestation, Shen Mo's blood surged all around him, and he opened his mouth. Kudha. Ancient, strange syllables poured from his lips. They seemed to flow from the void itself, resisting the erosion of countless ages. It was as if they had come from a primordial era. Buzz, buzz, buzz. It felt as if countless tiny spirits filled the air, resonating with those ancient, strange syllables from Shen Mo's mouth. In an instant, that ancient sound echoed for tens of thousands of feet all around. Where the sound passed, he and all those on his side were enveloped in 3,000 positive auras, their spirits uplifted and strength surging. Enemies and all those against him were shrouded in 3,000 negative auras, feeling anxious and worried, their strength drained. This was the void heavenly melody sacred art. In just a blink, the positive and negative effects brought by the sacred creation tree and nether demon tree were completely cleansed by the void heavenly melody sacred art. After clearing the effects of Qingxuan's 2 dharma manifestations, the technique's own influence remained. Ao Guang, who had been firmly suppressing Tang Jinglong and the other dharma manifestation experts, was on the verge of killing Lang Ben. But after Shen Mo used the void heavenly melody sacred art, it was as if heavy shackles had fallen on Ao Guang. His mind was weighed down with anxiety, and he soon began to show openings. On the other hand, Tang Jinglong, Bai Liaoyu, and the other dharma manifestation experts, though seriously wounded, saw their injuries healing rapidly under the effect of the void heavenly melody sacred art. They quickly turned the tables and suppressed Ao Guang.
Now it's just you and me again.
Shen Mo looked at Qingxuan and spoke calmly. Qingxuan felt the negative effects on himself and frowned slightly. He had always been the one to shroud others in all kinds of negative effects. Today, he actually experienced it himself. The power of this move was even greater than that of his 2 dharma manifestations. It left him truly astonished.
You really do bring me many surprises.
Qingxuan quietly studied Shen Mo, as if seeing this young junior in a new light.
If you have any more techniques, use them now. If you wait any longer, my reinforcements will arrive.
Shen Mo spoke calmly. Qingxuan's eyes grew deep. He did still have a trump card, his strongest move. But he knew this wasn't the time to use it. What he wanted even more was to know what reinforcements the other side had called. Just then Shen Mo's eyebrows rose.
They're coming even faster than I expected. Look, they're here.
Shen Mo pointed east. That was precisely the passage between the 8th and 9th levels. Qingxuan frowned and looked into the distant darkness. The next moment, a massive shadow pushed through the thick demonic aura and slowly appeared before his eyes. It was an enormous ship. Even just the bow, which had just come into view, was imposing and majestic, hundreds of feet wide. Where did such a colossal and awe-inspiring creation come from? Qingxuan was inwardly shocked. He actually felt a sense of threat from this vessel.
General Shen, we've brought the soaring dragon cloud ship.
Chapter 563. The great undertaking I've planned for thousands of years may be ruined in an instant. The appearance of this colossal behemoth instantly stunned all Dharma manifestation experts. It was simply too massive. Its length reached nearly 2,000 zhang, with a width of more than 500 zhang. Dozens of large spirit energy cannons and large blood energy cannons were mounted on either side of the ship. Flame Jiao cloud ships and giant Q cloud ships escorted it on all sides. It truly resembled a grand pavilion suspended high in the sky. With a single command, its terrifying firepower could rain down and obliterate any powerful foe into dust.
What is that? The soaring dragon cloud ship. I've never heard of it before.
Bai Liaoyu exclaimed in astonishment.
It must be a new weapon from the Qingxuan fortress. They've been hiding it for a long time. But now we finally get to see it.
Tang Jinglong said excitedly. Jai Qingxuan gazed at the colossal creation, but only smiled calmly.
External objects are still just external objects. No matter how massive, they can easily be destroyed. If you think you can defeat me just by relying on that thing, you're still far too naive.
Shen Mo smiled.
Let's put it to the test.
On the soaring dragon cloud ship, Wu Zhanian and Li Haitan saw Shen Mo's signal and immediately gave the order. Fire target Jai Qingxuan.
Yes, sir.
The demon suppression guards on the deck quickly operated the large blood energy cannons and spirit energy cannons. Blood energy and spiritual power surged into the weapons, and with the amplification of the formation arrays, their power was instantly raised to a level that could threaten even peak Dharma manifestation experts. The Flame Jiao cloud ships, Giant Q cloud ships, and Black Eagle cloud ships all flew out from around the soaring dragon cloud ship. The blood energy cannons and spirit energy cannons on them also unleashed beams of light. Boom, boom, boom. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of beams shot toward Jai Qingxuan. The dim environment of the 9th level was lit up as bright as day. Jai Qingxuan's pupils shrank sharply. From those beams, he sensed a significant threat. Boom! Light filled the area. A storm of gray dust billowed into the sky. Whoosh! Violent winds howled. Jai Qingxuan's figure was revealed once more. His expression was grim and his hair was disheveled. He wasn't injured, but his aura was clearly disrupted.
You have succeeded in angering me.
Jai Qingxuan let out a low growl, clapping his hands together. Blazing golden light burst forth from his palms, condensing into a giant sword 200 zhang long, which he slashed fiercely at the soaring dragon cloud ship.
Fall back.
Chapter 564. How does Shen Mo know as well?
Tame armor, demon hunting spear.
Jai Qingxuan shouted in a low voice, his hands rapidly forming seals. One ancient and mysterious seal after another quickly took shape. Shen Mo suddenly felt his storage ring tremble. The next moment, the Tame armor actually flew out on its own. Tai suddenly appeared, his expression filled with terror.
It's you, how can it be you? You're still alive.
He stared at Jai Qingxuan with horror. Not far away, Lu Dongxuan had been helping Bai Liaoyu, and the others besiege Ao Guang. In that instant, he suddenly seemed to lose his soul and walked straight toward Jai Qingxuan. Clang! The Tame armor instantly enveloped Lu Dongxuan. Lu Dongxuan's expression immediately turned agonized, as if enduring the unbearable pain of being burned by fierce flames. Inside his body, a powerful force that did not belong to him also slowly began to awaken. Shen Mo took it all in, his expression unchanged. All of Jai Qingxuan's trump cards were things he had already seen long ago on his own life panel, including the eventual loss of control of the Tame armor and the demon hunting spear. At first, Shen Mo had considered finding Lu Dongxuan ahead of time and keeping him safe inside the Qingxuan fortress. But if he did that, Lu Dongxuan's entire future would stop there. Because he was still a weapon spirit born with a flaw. Only by breaking out of his cocoon and being reborn could Lu Dongxuan become truly human. Since there was a better choice, Shen Mo was willing to fulfill his duty as a junior brother and help Lu Dongxuan undergo complete transformation.
Do you know why I need the tame armor and the demon hunting spear?
Qingxuan looked at the agonized Lu Dongshuan and said calmly.
Both of these spiritual artifacts are saint grade, and I acquired them by chance from within the void vortex.
But they're innately flawed.
If they get too close to each other, their artifact spirit's combat strength greatly increases, but in battle they lose all sense of friend or foe. The longer it goes on, the more they descend into madness.
Although this is quite damaging to the artifact spirits, gaining an extra powerful force out of nowhere is enough. In this battle, Qingxuan was fighting alone. The opposing side had Shen Mo, a Nirvana realm powerhouse, a group of Dharma manifestation experts, and various cloud ships hovering in the sky. Even if the tame armor and demon hunting spear went berserk and attacked everyone, it would be against Shen Mo's side. Instead, Qingxuan could seize the opportunity to act and wipe out all uncertainties and surprises.
Qingxuan, haven't you noticed there's something extra inside the tame armor?
Shen Mo smiled faintly. Qingxuan was taken aback and carefully sensed it. He was shocked to discover that another suit of armor was wrapped inside the tame armor. Within that armor was also a scroll of sword scripture and a longsword, all of them heaven-grade spiritual artifacts. While they couldn't compare to the tame armor and demon hunting spear at their peak, they were at least top-tier heaven-grade spiritual artifacts. Even more important, all three of these artifacts had artifact spirits.
Haiyan, Suixing, Xiling helped me take care of Tai and senior brother.
Shen Mo instructed. Suixing wrote out a big line of words.
Dad, I understand. Yes, Master, rest assured, we will do our best to calm and soothe them.
Chapter 565, The Terror of the Void Scorching Flame. The 9 nether ice flame and the 9 heavens divine thunder flame continued to burn. Crackling sounds rang out continuously. The undying demon emperor's flesh had already been completely consumed by the flames. Shen Mo hadn't interfered at all from beginning to end. A grand demon emperor had died at the hands of 2 different eternal flames. Qingxuan looked at Shen Mo, his gaze deep.
If you insist on forcing this emperor to use my last trump card, then no one will have a good time.
Shen Mo smiled.
How will you know if you don't try? Senior Qingxuan, don't overestimate yourself.
Qingxuan's eyes grew cold.
Fine, in that case, let me fulfill your wish.
As he spoke, he made a gesture, and something seemed to appear in his palm. The space around him started to collapse. Everyone's attention was drawn to it. But they couldn't see anything. All the light nearby seemed to be absorbed. Bai Liaoyu, Tang Jinglong, and the others quickly averted their eyes, not daring to look any further. Shi Tian seemed to remember something and spoke in a low voice.
I recall a certain thing. There's a type of eternal flame called the void scorching flame. It's said to be born from the void itself, formless and colorless, nearly impossible for ordinary people to detect. Only those with great fortune and immense willpower can tame it. Could that be what Qingxuan is relying on?
Ao Qin nodded.
The void scorching flame. I've heard of it as well. Taming such a flame would be nearly impossible for most cultivators. But Qingxuan, he's always been able to accomplish what others cannot.
Tang Jinglong said seriously.
I heard the void scorching flame is terrifying. Can it suppress other eternal flames?
Ao Qin nodded.
Exactly. The void scorching flame has another name, the flame of devouring. It can suppress other eternal flames. The bigger the gap in the rankings of the flames, the stronger the suppressive effect. I think the 9 nether ice flame and the 9 heavens divine thunder flame Shen Mo possesses might be able to stand against the void scorching flame.
But from a distance, Ao Guang sneered.
You're all thinking too simply. The void scorching flame has been nurtured inside the human emperor's body for thousands of years. How terrifying is that?
That 9 nether ice flame has only recently rekindled, and the 9 heavens divine thunder flame is just a fledgling spark far too immature.
You really think these 2 flames alone can contend with the void scorching flame? Don't even dream of it.
Tang Jinglong, Shi Tian, and the others fell silent. They knew this as well. Even though they couldn't see the void scorching flame burning in Qingxuan's hand, they could feel its terrifying presence. In comparison, Shen Mo's 9 nether ice flame and 9 heavens divine thunder flame lacked that overwhelming sense of threat. For the most part, the ranking of an eternal flame reflects its strength. But in an actual fight, it depends on the stage of the flame, whether it's just a spark at its peak or declining. On the deck of the Qingxuan cloud boat, some of the demon suppression guards who were well-versed in ancient texts also guessed that the flame in Qingxuan's hand might be the void scorching flame.
General Shen will definitely win.
Wu Zhanian clenched his fists.
Senior sister, do you believe in Brother Mo?
Li Haitin lowered his head and looked at the short girl beside him. Zhao Yaelu grinned slyly.
Shen Mo will win. He's got far more than just those 2 eternal flames. Besides, I believe these aren't his only trump cards.
Chapter 566, The 6-in-1 Void Power Ancient Void Sword. Qingxuan once again pressed his palms together. Suddenly, an invisible, colorless giant sword appeared in his hands. Although its outline couldn't be seen, everyone could vaguely sense the space in that area collapsing slightly, as if something was pulling it inward. Shen Mo also sensed it keenly.
This move is something I developed after exhausting every last bit of strength when I was on the verge of death. Unfortunately, right after I comprehended this move, I fell into a deep sleep, so I've never had the chance to use it.
Its grade can at least reach the lower rank of the Saint tier.
I call it the Void Annihilation Slash.
Qingxuan gave a low shout, and the invisible giant sword slashed down. Though this sword couldn't be seen or touched, everyone present felt its terrifying, oppressive force. To them, it seemed as if the space containing Qingxuan and Shen Mo had been cut away from the rest. Countless shards of mirror floated apart, each reflecting the figures of Qingxuan and Shen Mo. But when they looked more closely, it seemed as if nothing had changed at all. This bizarre phenomenon left everyone bewildered. They couldn't understand what had just happened. Shen Mo focused intently, staring at the empty space in front of him. The sword that others couldn't see or touch was slashing toward his head. He could see it, because he had long since comprehended the power of the void. Shen Mo reached out. The Heavenbreaker sword flew into his hand. The spiritual essence stored within poured into his body. Although all these energies were higher forms of spiritual power, the divine thunder force cultivated from the divine thunder demon suppression scripture was still a bit inferior to spiritual essence. At a time like this, using spiritual essence was naturally the best choice. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 6 streams of spiritual essence rapidly condensed and transformed. In the blink of an eye, they formed 6 vast, ancient flying swords. At first glance, they looked unremarkable. But a closer look revealed that countless wails and laments of demon gods seemed to swirl around them. These were the ancient void swords. The 6 ancient void swords, formed by condensed spiritual essence, were filled with oppressive might. It was as if they could pierce space itself.
I've already seen this move. It's useless against me.
Qingxuan smiled faintly. The very first time Shen Mo attacked, he'd used these ancient void swords. Qingxuan had already witnessed them and wasn't afraid.
The key is this.
Shen Mo traced his hand through the air. The power of the void, which he'd immersed himself in for years within the divine palace, suddenly burst forth. The 6 ancient void swords gave a ringing cry and, in the blink of an eye, merged into one. With the power of the void fusing into them, the ancient void sword began to expand at a speed visible to the naked eye. Within a few breaths, it grew from several dozen zhang to 500 zhang long. Its width could now rival that of the Qingxuan cloud boat. The moment this wisp of void power merged in, Qingxuan's heart leapt in shock. He had never encountered the power of the void before and didn't know what it was, but he instinctively sensed its danger.
What is that?
Qingxuan roared.
Kill!
Shen Mo didn't answer. Instead, he abruptly waved his hand. Void power surged. Spiritual essence gathered. 6 swords merged into one. Whoosh! The ancient void sword whistled forward. The space ahead let out a mournful cry under the unbearable pressure. The void annihilation slash was instantly shattered, breaking into countless tiny fragments. In the air, the void's scorching flame howled in pain. The 9 nether ice flame laughed smugly.
Finally heard that wretched thing cry feels great.
The 9 heavens divine thunder flame scoffed.
You didn't even land the hit, what are you so proud of?
The 9 nether ice flame. Chapter 567, Qingxuan, your death is well-deserved, well done, brother Shen Mo. The instant the void annihilation slash was shattered, Qingxuan's expression changed drastically. He felt it. That ancient, vast sword contained a power he could not resist. He didn't know what it was. Because it was a strange power he had never encountered before.
Could that be the power of the void?
Qingxuan suddenly seemed to recall something, his heart skipping a beat. A tidal wave of jealousy surged uncontrollably within him. He was the child of heaven's will, blessed with fortune, perception, and talent beyond compare. Even he had failed to comprehend the power of the void. Yet Shen Mo, a junior not even 100 years old, had managed to do what he could not. What shocked him even more was that after shattering the void annihilation slash, that ancient, vast sword did not lose momentum and slashed straight toward him. Its power had only diminished by about 30%. In other words, even after using the void incineration flame with all his strength, he had merely weakened the force of this sword by a small amount.
Damn it! Burn the Dharma body!
Qingxuan gave a low roar, and his entire body erupted with blood qi, spiritual power, and demonic energy. The already shattered creation's sacred tree Dharma body and netherworld demon tree Dharma body were forcibly reformed by him. In the next moment, the 2 giant trees blazed with flames. Burning one's Dharma body was an ultimate, life-risking trump card. Even if only part of it was burned, that Dharma body could never be used again. Once burned, it meant that Dharma body had reached its end. Qingxuan was abandoning even his own future, just to block this attack.
He's even burning his Dharma body.
Tang Jinglong and the other Dharma body realm experts were dumbstruck. None of them could have imagined that Shen Mo could force Qingxuan to this point. That was Qingxuan, the strongest of the past several thousand years. The first human emperor. The joint lord of the 3 clans. The super powerhouse who killed the undying demon emperor. Yet now he was forced by Shen Mo to burn his Dharma body. It was simply unbelievable. Even witnessing it in person, their minds still reeled, unable to believe it.
This strike you cannot block.
Shen Mo took in everything Qingxuan did, his expression remaining calm. Boom! The ancient void sword seemed like a heavenly tribulation, as if it would cleave Qingxuan and the surrounding space in 2. At first, the 2 burning giant trees could barely withstand it. But as the void sword descended, their rate of burning only increased. In just a few dozen breaths, the once intact Dharma bodies had burned all the way to the roots. Then, in a single moment, both Dharma bodies were reduced entirely to ash, scattering as countless points of light. Qingxuan's pupils contracted suddenly. And in the next instant, the void sword pierced straight through his chest. Splurt. There was no fountain of blood. No limbs flying. Qingxuan looked down. A huge hole had appeared in his chest. His heart and the nearby organs had vanished without a trace. It was as if that entire portion of space had been sliced away. Qingxuan tried to speak, but no words came out. Bang! He collapsed completely, his body hitting the ground with a heavy thud. Dead! Bai Liaoyu and the others were stunned. Ao Guang took a deep breath, then shouted.
Qingxuan, your death is well-deserved. Well done, brother Shen Mo. I endured humiliation just so I could make that villain trust me. Now brother Shen has finally avenged me.
Tang Jinglong and the others.
We're both flood dragons. Can you show a little dignity?
Shen Mo glanced at Ao Guang.
You think he's dead? No, he's not.
Ao Guang's heart trembled.
Damn it, I've switched sides twice already. Are you trying to make me switch a 3rd time? No, impossible, he must be dead.
Chapter 568, Shen Mo, I laugh at your foolishness. Bai Liaoyu, Tang Jinglong, and the others were shocked, their gazes snapping to the spot where Jai Qingxuan had fallen. There was nothing left but a discarded cicada shell. Jai Qingxuan's corpse was nowhere to be seen.
Golden cicada shedding.
Ao Qin's heart trembled slightly.
What kind of technique is that? I've never seen it before. Could there really be such a life-saving trump card in this world?
Tang Jinglong furrowed his brows deeply, astonishment written across his face. Ao Qin thought for a moment before explaining.
It's said that in ancient times, there was a rare beast called the rebirth cicada. It would shed its shell once every 1,000 years. The cicada shell it left behind was an excellent life-saving item capable of blocking one fatal strike. Rebirth cicadas are incredibly rare. After 7 molts they die. With strong cultivators fighting over them, their numbers dwindled even further. To think Jai Qingxuan managed to obtain one of their shells.
Bai Liaoyu slapped his thigh hard.
We can't let him escape. Jai Qingxuan is cunning beyond measure. He's surely got more schemes. If he escapes today, we'll never know peace.
Shitian and Lang Ben both nodded immediately.
He's right.
Everyone turned their attention to Shen Mo. But Shen Mo walked straight toward Lu Dongxuan.
Senior brother, how are you?
He took out a healing pill and fed it into Lu Dongxuan's mouth. The pain in Lu Dongxuan's body eased considerably. Yet sweat had completely soaked through his robes, front and back he looked like he'd been pulled out of a river. Lu Dongxuan forced a weak smile.
Junior brother, thank you.
He knew that if not for Shen Mo, he would have already lost all reason and become a weapon in Jai Qingxuan's hand. The only reason he could still maintain self-awareness and slowly recover was thanks to Shen Mo's help.
Junior brother, what about Jai Qingxuan?
Lu Dongxuan looked in the direction Jai Qingxuan had fled. Shen Mo smiled faintly.
The direction he fled, someone is waiting.
Lu Dongxuan nodded.
That's good then.
Bai Liaoyu, Tang Jinglong, and the others let out a breath of relief. Even Jai Qingxuan's escape had been within Shen Mo's calculations. Truly like a prophet who foresaw everything. Ao Qin recalled the battle just moments ago. The more he thought about it, the more he felt Shen Mo was like a deep ocean immeasurable. No matter what tricks Jai Qingxuan used, Shen Mo always had a counter. It felt like the entire fight had been under Shen Mo's control from the beginning.
Grab that old bastard.
Shitian pointed at Ao Guang and cursed. Ao Guang laughed awkwardly and raised his claws without resistance.
I surrender.
Ao Qin sneered coldly.
Now you surrender. Where was this attitude earlier?
Ao Guang wanted nothing more than to dig a hole and bury himself in it.
Let's go. Let's see the downfall of the human emperor.
Shen Mo tapped the ground lightly and shot off like a gust of wind. The others quickly followed. They too wanted to know who Shen Mo had left behind to intercept Jai Qingxuan. 9th level, a hidden valley deep within the sea of demon suppression. Jai Qingxuan gritted his teeth as he fled into the valley. He had used the last of his talismans to push his speed to the limit, barely escaping with his life. His Dharma bodies were destroyed, and he was seriously injured. But at least he still retained his Nirvana realm physical body. Ordinary Dharma body cultivators were still no match for him. As long as he didn't run into someone too strong, he could still survive.
Damn it, I still can't sense the will of heaven. If I'd known, I would have left the sea of demon suppression sooner. With the will of heaven behind me, how could I have ended up like this?
Jai Qingxuan struggled to connect with heaven's will. But this was the 9th level of the sea of demon suppression. The deeper one went, the weaker the influence of heaven's will became. It was normal not to sense it here. Jai Qingxuan looked ahead toward a pitch-black tunnel and suddenly burst into laughter. This passage led straight to the 1st level of the sea of demon suppression. Once there, he'd be able to re-establish contact with heaven's will.
Shen Mo, I laugh at your foolishness. If you had known about this passage and posted someone here in advance, I'd be dead for sure.
Chapter 569, Slaying Jai Qingxuan and Seizing His Fate. At that moment, Jai Qingxuan suddenly sensed a flash of cold light coming straight at him. A strong warning surged in his heart. He urgently twisted his body to dodge. However, having narrowly escaped death using the rebirth cicada's shell, his strength was down to less than 1/10. What would have been an easy dodge now struck him squarely. A sharp pain erupted in his right shoulder. Blood spurted violently. Qingxuan glared ahead and saw a seemingly ordinary middle-aged man walking toward him. The aura from the man far exceeded that of a peak Dharma body cultivator. He was clearly at the half-step nirvana realm.
Didn't expect anyone to actually flee in this direction.
Zhang Longxiang looked at Qingxuan, clicking his tongue in surprise. He had long been stationed here under Shen Mo's instructions. Never did he expect there to be a hidden tunnel leading directly from the 9th layer to the 1st. And even more shocking, Shen Mo had predicted it all.
Spare my life, I'll give you anything you want.
Qingxuan said in a low voice, taking a deep breath. This man's strength was beyond his expectations. If Qingxuan were in his prime, the other would be no match. But now, he could only humble himself. Zhang Longxiang chuckled.
No can do.
Gritting his teeth, Qingxuan burned a heaven-grade talisman and launched a sudden strike. Zhang Longxiang immediately summoned his dragon elephant Dharma body. Their fists collided head-on. Boom! Both were blasted backward by the force.
General Zhang, I'm here.
A light voice drifted in. Qingxuan's expression changed drastically. Shen Mo had arrived too quickly.
Out of my way.
He roared in fury, his face twisted with madness, both fists exploding forward. Demonic chi in his left hand, blood chi in his right. He smashed them together midair. But demonic and blood chi did not naturally fuse. Even in Kang, with the authority of corrupted will, took centuries to barely merge the two into blood demon force. Qingxuan had no time for such things. He forcibly merged the two forces. And there could only be one outcome. Explosion. He had resolved to abandon both arms if it meant forcing Zhang Longxiang back. If Shen Mo got close, he would surely die.
This path is under my watch, no one gets through.
Zhang Longxiang growled, his dragon elephant Dharma body swelling massively. He stood like a towering mountain, unmoving. Boom! A thunderous explosion erupted. Zhang Longxiang didn't budge, though his robe was torn and blood streamed from his mouth. Qingxuan had not advanced, he'd been forced back several steps. His arms were obliterated, blown off at the roots. His eyes were bloodshot. Even if he had to blow his body apart, he would push Zhang Longxiang aside.
You have no more chances.
A calm voice suddenly sounded behind him. The next moment, the ancient void sword pierced straight through Qingxuan's chest. His expression froze. His eyes widened. Life flowed from him like sand caught in the wind, vanishing swiftly from his body. Streams of golden and red fate energy visible only to the extraordinary flowed out of Qingxuan's body and into Shen Mo. At that moment, Shen Mo's fate underwent dramatic transformation. His existing fate lines advanced and strengthened. And he gained unprecedented new ones. Shen Mo turned his gaze inward and viewed his life panel. Name Shen Mo. Realm entry-level nirvana. Fate lines, son of the apothecary, clairvoyant perception, lord of the three clans, sword Dao grandmaster, child of heaven's will, primordial unity body, heaven-defying fortune, demon suppression general. A satisfied smile appeared on his face. Qingxuan truly was a treasure trove. Killing him had massively enhanced Shen Mo's fate. Pity he was too powerful, too dangerous. Had his strength been weaker, Shen Mo could have kept him around like Yi Yan and Lin Dongshan to slowly reap benefits. Now that was sustainable development.
Everyone, it's over.
Chapter 570, Rescuing All Living Beings from Peril, Establishing an Unparalleled Legacy. Cleaning up the battlefield was not something Shen Mo needed to do personally. After slaying Qingxuan, he left the Sea of Demon Suppression and made his way back toward the Qingxuan fortress. The moment he resurfaced from the sea, he felt a vast and ancient will approaching him. Shen Mo closed his eyes. Everything around him seemed to fade into nothingness. Before him appeared a colossal presence. It had no form, its shape was impossible to perceive. Yet he could sense it clearly. It was there and it was everywhere. Previously, it had remained unseen. Now, it had revealed itself. There was no doubt. This was the will of heaven. The will of this world. Shen Mo reached out his hand. In an instant, he established contact with the will of heaven. That moment, he felt as if he had traversed the entirety of this world. His consciousness began to rise, soaring ever higher until it left the boundaries of this realm. What he saw was a raging, chaotic black current endless like a great river, yet wildly disordered. Looking down, the world he came from glowed faintly with golden light, shielded from the devouring current. All around was pitch black, not a glimmer of light in any direction. As though this world was the only lonely island in the vast void. Then a flash of comprehension struck Shen Mo. He suddenly looked toward a certain direction. In that moment, he sensed the faintest of connections, something new, something just now awakened. His consciousness swiftly returned to his physical body. In the blink of an eye, he had truly become the child of heaven of this world. So long as he wished it, he could appear anywhere in this realm. With a single thought, the world spun before him. In a flash, Shen Mo appeared in Qingxuan City tens of millions of li away from the sea of demon suppression. This was where he had been born. An ordinary Nirvana realm cultivator could never traverse such a distance. But a Nirvana realm cultivator who was the child of heaven could by relying on the will of heaven and his own cultivation. Shen Mo willed again. Qingxuan Sect, Jade Cauldron Sect, Myriad Demon Nation.
Qingxuan, first human emperor, joint lord of the three clans, slayer of the undying demon emperor, once meritorious in suppressing the demon race.
However, Qingxuan sought to use the undying demon emperor's body to rebuild his foundation. As the child of heaven, he established 10 demon suppression fortresses to limit the rise of human, monster, flood dragon, and demon cultivators.
To cross the void, he planned to slaughter all living beings of this world, extracting their souls.
Such crimes are beyond count.
Shen Mo, demon suppression general of the demon suppression fortress, slew Qingxuan, turned the tide, rescued all living beings from peril, and established an unparalleled legacy. Shen Mo.
Chapter 571. Thank you all for guarding the sea of demon suppression all these years.
You're so strong, why didn't you help Qingxuan? Why wait until I killed him to show yourself?
Shen Mo, while sensing the will of heaven, suddenly asked. Throughout the course of destiny, the will of heaven had never appeared. The voice of the will of heaven was completely devoid of emotion.
From the moment I was born, I have always been incomplete.
Qingxuan slew the undying demon emperor and naturally became the child of heaven. This is the rule. But when he joined the demons for his own gain and harbored killing intent toward all living beings of this world, he naturally lost the protection of this realm. This, too, is the rule.
Only then did Shen Mo nod. After a brief pause, he asked again.
That place I sensed earlier, was it the greater heaven and earth?
The will of heaven replied.
Indeed, I can barely sense the existence of the greater heaven and earth.
Shen Mo nodded.
It's time to return.
In the blink of an eye, he returned to the Qingxuan fortress. One day later, upon learning the whole story, all the Dharma manifestation cultivators from the various demon suppression fortresses rushed over in unison. A grand celebration banquet was held in the martial arena of Qingxuan Fortress. Zhang Longxiang and Zhu Xuanji, being the closest to Shen Mo, sat on either side of him. The other Dharma manifestation cultivators were seated in order based on their relationships and strength. But with Shen Mo silent, no one else dared speak either. Zhang Longxiang was the first to rise.
Everyone, let us offer a toast to General Shen. If not for General Shen, we would have all perished due to Qingxuan's schemes, and this world might have fallen into his demonic clutches.
Seeing this, the others quickly stood and offered their toasts to Shen Mo. Shen Mo smiled and nodded.
The demon race has now been eradicated from this world. From today onward, there is no more need for the demon suppression fortresses. You may all leave the sea of demon suppression and return to your own lives.
At his words, everyone froze. Some were joyful, some worried, and others filled with melancholy. Some truly did come from the Jing Kingdom, from the 10,000 Demon Nation, or from the dragon palaces of the Four Seas. But after thousands of years, those places had changed beyond recognition. Even if they returned, it would be to a land both familiar and unfamiliar. And many more had been born and raised in the sea of demon suppression. To them, the Jing Kingdom, the 10,000 Demon Nation, and the Four Seas were distant, unknown places. They had only heard tales of those distant lands from the demon suppression guards who had once recruited them. To be sent there now instead of returning home only filled them with fear. Moreover, the sudden appearance of unfamiliar cultivators in other lands would inevitably cause problems. After all, resources were limited. With more cultivators, more conflicts were bound to arise. Shen Mo looked around, taking in everyone's expressions and emotions. He smiled.
The sea of demon suppression will remain, but there's no more need to resist the demons. Those born and raised here may continue to live, grow, and rise here. What I'm giving you is the freedom to choose. 4 sea eyes have appeared within the sea of demon suppression. Through them, you can reach the 4 seas and from their head to the Jing Kingdom or the 10,000 Demon Nation. Whether you choose to leave or stay, all are welcome.
All these years, you've worked hard guarding the sea of demon suppression.
With that, Shen Mo drained his cup in one go.
Thank you, General Shen.
Suddenly, a demon suppression guard cried out, eyes brimming with tears. Chapter 572, Young Lady, Do You Have Any Regrets? In a corner of the banquet, Zhou Minji, Li Zhendao, and a few others gathered around a single table. Although their military ranks weren't high and their strength wasn't great, they had been given their own table for obvious reasons. They all had deep ties to Shen Mo. Soon, a number of demon suppression guards came over to toast them. Wang Xingyan was already drunk, arms slung around Li Zhendao's shoulders.
Li
Zhendao laughed heartily.
Jade Cauldron Sect. Before General Shen and I were conscripted, we were both cultivators of the Jade Cauldron Sect.
Wang Xingyan nodded repeatedly.
Yes, that's it, Jade Cauldron Sect. Say, how did your Jade Cauldron Sect have such sharp eyes to spot a hidden gem like Shen Mo? If not for Shen Mo, even after another few thousand years, we wouldn't have been able to permanently suppress the demons.
Wan Muchen grinned brightly from the side. As Shen Mo's master, his bond with Shen Mo was naturally the closest of them all. Now hearing Wang Xingyan's praises, his face was full of joy, as though the compliments were being directed at him. Zhou Minji and Mo Lingxiao clinked their cups together, gazing at Shen Mo surrounded at the center of attention by many demon suppression generals, their hearts filled with emotion. Zhou Minji chuckled.
Old Mo, did you ever think, once we came here, that we'd one day get to go back?
Mo Lingxiao shook his head like a rattled drum.
Never expected it, not in a million years. I thought that once I came to the demon suppression fortress, I'd be stuck here for life. Who would have thought this day would come?
Mo Lingxiao laughed and turned to Zhu Zi.
Young lady, do you have any regrets?
If back then your Wying Pavilion had helped the 3 sects of Yuzhu resist the 10,000 Demon Nation, things wouldn't have gotten so tense between us.
With your strength and beauty, you definitely would have become Shen Mo's Dao companion back then. But now...
He didn't finish the rest, just smiled. Zhu Zi was also seated at that round table. From the start she had quietly eaten and drunk, saying nothing. Her gaze would occasionally drift to Shen Mo in the distance, a hint of melancholy flashing through her eyes. Hearing Mo Lingxiao's words, Zhu Zi subconsciously clenched the hem of her robe and quickly shook her head.
No regrets.
Zhou Minji and Mo Lingxiao exchanged a glance and smiled without replying. Wang Xingyan immediately pouted and let out a boozy hiccup.
No regrets, General Shen has limitless potential. Not building a relationship with him back then, that's your loss, a huge loss.
Hearing that, Zhu Zi clutched her robe tighter. Deep in her heart, she was filled with regret. Yes. If the Wying Pavilion had helped the 3 sects of Yuzhu when the 10,000 Demon Nation invaded, how different would things be now? Perhaps she too would be surrounded at the center like a star among stars, praised by Dharma manifestation experts. Zhu Zi took a deep breath and suddenly stood up. Forcing a smile, she said,
I'm feeling a bit unwell. I'll step away for a while. Please, seniors, enjoy your meal.
With that, she turned and left without looking back. Zhou Minji and Mo Lingxia watched her retreating figure and gently shook their heads. They could clearly see what was in her heart. Unwell nonsense. She was just looking for a quiet place to be sad on her own. At the top of Qingxuan Fortress. Now that the undying demon emperor had been utterly incinerated and all 10 wielders of authority were dead, the remaining demons were nothing more than chickens and dogs, completely incapable of mounting a counterattack. Given time, they would naturally vanish for good. Only a few demon suppression guards patrolled the ramparts. Still, they envied their colleagues who were enjoying the feast below. Zhu Zi's arrival puzzled them. Skipping a good banquet to stand in the wind and look at the sea. Zhu Zi walked to the edge and saw another figure already there.
Yi Yan.
Chapter 573. I am heaven's chosen, I should be in the nirvana realm. Yi Yan turned around and was surprised to see a familiar face. Before coming to the Sea of Demon Suppression, the two had been genius cultivators from the Qingxuan Sect and the Wying Pavilion, respectively. Although they hadn't interacted much in person, they were well aware of each other's status and strength.
You came too.
Yi Yan said casually, still gazing out at the calm sea. Zhu Zi leaned on the wall beside him, forcing a smile.
You came even earlier than I did.
Looking at Yi Yan, she thought she saw a flame burning in his pupils.
You hate Shen Mo.
Zhu Zi suddenly said. Yi Yan shook his head with a broad smile.
What are you saying, hate General Shen? How could I? He killed Qingxuan and saved all living beings. He's a benefactor to all. How could I dare hate him?
Zhu Zi remained silent. How dare to hate? Not how could one hate? She sighed softly.
Shen Mo is already in the nirvana realm, a full major realm above you. You shouldn't hate him.
Yi Yan suddenly turned his head, staring hard at her.
I am heaven's chosen. I should be in the nirvana realm. I should be the one hailed as a savior by all living beings. I should be the one surrounded by the generals of the demon suppression army.
He roared.
It shouldn't be Shen Mo.
Yi Yan's eyes were bloodshot, veins crawling through his sclera. He looked like a mad beast. Zhu Zi was startled. At that moment, she felt as though two voices inside Yi Yan were roaring the same madness. An illusion. Zhu Zi sighed again.
So what do you plan to do now? Go back to the Qingxuan Sect.
Shen Mo has relocated 4 CIs for us. We can.
Yi Yan took a few deep breaths to calm himself. After a while, he sneered.
Go back, what for? As long as Shen Mo exists, I'll always be in his shadow. My fortune will always be suppressed beneath his. In this world, he'll always be the strongest.
Zhu Zi, once the young mistress of the Wying Pavilion, was quick-witted and perceptive. She immediately grasped the implication behind Yi Yan's words.
You mean?
But you're only in the Dharma manifestation realm. How can you leave this realm? I heard that only those unimaginably powerful seniors can traverse the void. Otherwise, anyone who enters the void is doomed to perish. Do you even know where to go? The chaotic void is vast and boundless. Do you even have a destination?
Yi Yan sneered.
You think I have no methods?
As for my destination, of course, I know it.
He paused, then added.
I could take you with me. What do you say? Will you come?
Zhu Zi's brows arched, her heart tempted for a moment. But remembering Yi Yan's cold and selfish nature, she resolutely shook her head. If she followed him and something went wrong in the void, she'd probably be the first one sacrificed. Even if she wanted to go, it wouldn't be with Yi Yan. That would be courting death.
Refuse me? Fine. Then stay in this well and watch the sky like a frog for the rest of your life.
Seeing her shake her head, Yi Yan was surprised, but then he snorted.
Farewell, may we never meet again.
With that, Yi Yan leapt off the 1,000-jang-high wall and dove once more into the sea of demon suppression. Zhu Zi let out a soft sigh. She was still only at the peak of the nascent soul realm, not even having entered the divine palace realm. Crossing the void was far too early for her. Since she could return, it would be best to go back to the Wying Pavilion and cultivate steadily before making any decisions. Back at the banquet, Shen Mo drained his cup. The wine was called.
True immortal drunk.
Even a true immortal would fall from it. Yet Shen Mo only felt a warm sensation in his belly. Meanwhile, Zhang Longxiang, Shi Tian, and the others had already collapsed in a drunken heap.
He's leaving.
Chapter 574, Yi Yan kills and Fan possessed by four souls. Ever since killing Qingxuan and becoming the child of heaven of this world, Shen Mo had practically ascended to the level of an immortal deity. Though his divine sense couldn't yet cover the entire realm, the will of heaven could extend it on his behalf. As a result, if he wished, he could observe the actions of any living being at any time. Very early on, Shen Mo had the will of heaven keep an eye on the heavens chosen, like Yi Yan. The will of heaven had even found Xiao Fan. Xiao Fan had long since reincarnated as a demon, now going by the name and Fan. At this moment, he was curled up in a corner on the 8th layer of the Sea of Demon Suppression, trembling. And Fan's fortune was slightly weaker than that of Yi Yan and Lin Dongshan. Yi Yan had a way to leave the small world and head for the greater world. But Fan did not. Without an unexpected turn of fate, he would eventually be found by the demon suppression guards and killed in some nameless corner. With the help of the will of heaven, Shen Mo's gaze fell upon Yi Yan and read the panel of his fate.
Interesting.
Shen Mo smiled. Upcoming opportunity 1, Yi Yan searches for a spatial vortex leading to the greater world and happens to encounter Fan. After a fierce battle, he kills Fan's physical body. However, Fan uses a forbidden technique to forcibly intertwine his own soul with Yi Yan's. Yi Yan, by a stroke of fortune, gains even more power and becomes possessed by four souls. Upcoming opportunity 2. 5 years later, he finds a relatively safe spatial vortex, hides within the belly of a void spirit dragon beast, and leaves the small world. Upcoming opportunity 3.
Yi Yan, you're really lucky. Xiao Fan, Lin Dongshan both have now become your stepping stones. Seems we'll meet again in the greater world.
Shen Mo smiled. Yi Yan was different from Qingxuan. At the time, Qingxuan was too powerful to suppress, so the only choice was to kill him and seize his fate. But Yi Yan was still only in the Dharma manifestation realm completely under Shen Mo's control. He was a harmless little fat sheep. As long as he was raised well, there would be plenty of chances to harvest wool in the future. Seeing Yi Yan about to level up again, Shen Mo was naturally pleased. It felt like reaping a bountiful harvest. The banquet ended and the crowd dispersed. Though remnants of the demon race still lingered, the strongest among them were merely a few peak true demon lords. After discussion among the demon suppression generals and under Shen Mo's supervision, they chose not to relinquish their duties just yet. They led their trusted forces to carry out the final sweep. As for the regular demon suppression guards, whether they chose to stay or return to the Jing Kingdom, 10,000 Demon Nation, or the Four Seas Dragon Palaces, it was all left to their own will. All 10 demon suppression fortresses were engulfed in a celebratory mood. Shen Mo had quietly left the Sea of Demon Suppression and returned to the Jade Cauldron Sect. Returned to the sect he hadn't seen in decades. At the peak of the Jade Cauldron Sect's rear mountain, a beautiful woman in a moon-white palace gown stood quietly, gazing east toward the sea. Her bearing was poised and serene. She stood there for 2 hours every day. Just standing, just watching.
Sect Master, the master of the Wying Pavilion has arrived. He wishes to discuss the business regarding the Fire Lotus estate.
Behind her, a purple-clad female disciple hurried up and spoke respectfully. The woman replied calmly.
Let him wait.
Yes.
The disciple bowed and left to deliver the message. As the strongest sect in the Jing Kingdom, the Jade Cauldron Sect's leader, who was also Shen Mo's Dao companion, had no need to show the master of the Wying Pavilion much respect. Making him wait was even a calculated tactical opening move to gain the upper hand in negotiations.
Master, General Shen from the Sea of Demon Suppression has arrived. Should we make him wait as well?
Chapter 575, A Fierce Battle is Inevitable. The woman froze. Though decades had passed, she still remembered that voice. She turned around sharply. As expected, a familiar figure appeared before her eyes. Tall and upright with a handsome face. It was Shen Mo. Her eyes instantly turned red, and like a homing swallow, she threw herself into Shen Mo's arms.
Mo, I missed you so much.
Tears streamed down Murong Yue's cheeks. In the blink of an eye, Shen Mo's chest was soaked. Shen Mo gently stroked her hair and chuckled softly.
Aren't I back now? The demon calamity is over, the chaos has settled. We can finally spend long days together.
Murong Yue nodded hard. She lifted her beautiful and delicate face and bit down fiercely on Shen Mo's lips.
Why didn't you come back earlier?
She snorted coldly. Shen Mo let out a bitter smile.
There were a lot of things to take care of.
Murong Yue's eyes turned sharp.
What could be more important than me?
Shen Mo immediately shook his head.
Nothing. You are the most important. Come to my room. We need to talk properly.
Murong Yue gritted her teeth. Shen Mo raised an eyebrow. It seemed a fierce battle was inevitable. He said at once,
Master's orders, I dare not disobey.
Inside the bedroom. Silver bottle shattered, water burst forth. Iron cavalry charged, weapons clashed. Their bodies tangled together, entwined for a long time. As they lay together, Shen Mo told Murong Yue of his battles with the demon race and of Qingxuan's grand plan that had been brewing for thousands of years. Murong Yue shared how difficult it had been to cultivate the Ming Tian divine phoenix true scripture, and how she had eventually become the sect master of Yuding Sect, backed by the elders' support. Murong Yue smiled.
With help from Elder Hai Qingxuan and others, plus your renowned reputation as deterrence, the sect has flourished stronger than ever. Except for a few sects making minor moves in the early years, the past decades have been mostly peaceful.
Shen Mo smiled lightly.
Which sects made those moves?
Murong Yue chuckled.
Qingxuan's Shingling Sect and Maju's Mad Blade Alliance, but they were flattened more than 10 years ago.
Shen Mo finally nodded.
That's good.
Murong Yue fell silent for a moment.
And now?
Her voice trembled as she asked. Shen Mo answered in a low voice.
Nirvana Realm.
Murong Yue gave a bitter smile.
I'm still stuck at the peak of Divine Transformation Realm. Haven't even reached Divine Palace Realm.
I've heard there's a Dharma aspect realm above that.
The gap between us is growing wider and wider.
Shen Mo smiled.
With me here, you'll improve quickly.
Murong Yue shook her head.
Forcing growth isn't a good path.
Shen Mo chuckled.
There are many heavenly treasures and elixirs in this world with almost no side effects. They can raise your realm very quickly. Luckily, I know where to find them.
Murong Yue was stunned.
Really?
Shen Mo smiled.
Come, I'll take you somewhere good.
He waved his hand. A glowing portal appeared before them.
Gaze directly into the portal.
Shen Mo said solemnly. Their divine senses instantly entered. Murong Yue looked around at the empty surroundings, astonished.
Mo, what is this place? There's nothing here.
Shen Mo softly said 4 words.
Heavenly Tao Treasury.
As the words fell, a massive golden list descended from the sky, landing before them. Shen Mo said casually.
Search for heavenly materials for building the Divine Palace. Highest grade, of course.
Chapter 576. He might reach the Saint Realm in the future. Murong Yue stared at the list, surprised as she softly read out the 5 names.
Heaven Grade Supreme, Qingxuan Crystal.
Heaven Grade Supreme, Shadowless Liquid.
Heaven Grade Supreme, Baksu Leaf.
Heaven Grade Supreme, Void Ash Powder.
This.
Which one do you like best?
Murong Yue paused, seemingly deep in thought. After a moment she said,
The remnant soul in my body says void ash powder suits me best. It's a companion treasure of the void blaze and can deepen my understanding of void power. Mo, what is void blaze? And what is void power?
Shen Mo let out a laugh, then gave her a brief explanation. Only then did Murong Yue understand.
I never thought transcending this world would require understanding void power. No wonder so few throughout history could break free from the heavens and earth.
She paused again, then asked,
But how will you get these treasures? They're all heaven-grade supreme items, extremely rare. They must be scattered across the 8 desolates and 4 seas, right?
Shen Mo smiled.
This is the heavenly Tao treasury. You can exchange battle merits for heavenly treasures, divine pills, and powerful weapons. When the demon race still existed, the treasury was open to all demon suppression guards. But now it's only open to me, and I don't even need merits. As long as I will it, nothing is beyond my reach.
With that, he raised his hand and tapped. A glowing orb floated out of the void and landed in his palm. Murong Yue focused her gaze. It was a clump of gray-black powder. Yet it radiated a terrifying aura. It felt as though even the slightest touch would erase her fingers from existence.
This is
Murong Yue gasped.
void ash powder.
Shen Mo said with a smile. He tapped again.
You like sword techniques the most. What do you think of these?
On the list appeared 3 saint-grade sword arts: Great Qingxuan Mountain Lion Sword, True Self Divine Severing Sword, and Heaven Slaughter 9 Dragon Sword Technique. Murong Yue's beautiful eyes widened in disbelief.
Saint Grade.
Shen Mo simply smiled. After a long pause, Murong Yue took a deep breath and steadied herself.
I'll take the True Self Divine Severing Sword.
All right.
Shen Mo retrieved the True Self Divine Severing Sword manual. The sword technique had 9 styles in total, with numerous variations and complex transitions. Murong Yue had decent talent in the way of the sword. As long as she was willing to dedicate time, she could eventually grasp 4 or 5 of the forms. Even if she couldn't master them all. This was still a saint-grade martial art. Even a single form could crush her opponents.
The True Self Divine Severing Sword was a technique I created long ago. With my help, cultivating it will be easier,
said a neutral voice in Murong Yue's mind. It was the ancient remnant soul that had awakened when she reached the nascent soul realm. Murong Yue was delighted and quickly said,
Thank you, Senior.
The remnant soul added,
Still, your Tao companion is truly terrifying. He reached the Nirvana realm in less than 100 years. With such talent, even in the 2 imperial dynasties, 4 sacred dragon palaces, and 5 great holy lands, he would be a chosen one worshipped by thousands.
Murong Yue felt a warm sweetness in her heart. For decades, she had relied on this mysterious senior. She practically treated them as her master. Now, with even her master praising Shen Mo, her joy was overflowing.
Don't be too happy just yet. With such defiant talent, he may one day glimpse the Saint Realm. The Saint Realm acknowledged by all beings, sharing the lifespan of the heavens. If you fail to reach it or at least come close, then all he can do is watch you grow old.
Chapter 577, Get Lost, No One Can Tame Me. Murong Yue suddenly froze. Shen Mo noticed the change in her emotions.
What's wrong?
Murong Yue shook her head. She looked at Shen Mo with determination.
Mo, I need to enter seclusion immediately.
Shen Mo instantly guessed her thoughts. He nodded solemnly.
All right, let me know if you need anything.
Murong Yue said seriously.
3 years, I will step into the Divine Palace realm. 30 years, I will charge into the Dharma manifestation realm.
I can't fall too far behind you. Otherwise, one day you'll leave me behind.
Shen Mo sighed softly and pulled Murong Yue into a tight embrace. Cultivators possessed long lifespans. A single major realm of difference could mean a gap of thousands, even tens of thousands of years in lifespan. No one wanted to watch their loved ones grow old and die before their eyes. He understood what Murong Yue was thinking. All he could do was support her. Several years later, A tall, upright figure stood atop the highest peak in this small world. The mountain winds here were bitingly cold and fierce. It was as if countless icy blades filled the air, threatening to strip flesh from bone. They were almost like tempest winds. Yet the figure stood there, his expression unchanging. This was Shen Mo. He had come here in search of an eternal flame, the everlasting flame. Ranked 8th on the eternal flames ranking. Though a flame, it brimmed with vibrant vitality. It only appeared in the most frigid, desolate lands. If a frozen wasteland suddenly gave way to a lush oasis teeming with life, it was likely the work of the everlasting flame. This place was the northernmost region of Jing Kingdom, among the towering mountains where the great snow palace stood. Before coming, Shen Mo had asked the heavenly Tao will if there were any other eternal flames in this world. The heavenly Tao will replied that only one remained. But eternal flames were divine objects of heaven and earth. This world's heavenly Tao will was fragmented, it couldn't pinpoint the flame's exact location. It could only tell Shen Mo that the everlasting flame was somewhere in these towering mountains. Shen Mo had searched here for a year without success. But he was patient. This small world had only one eternal flame left. Wouldn't it be a shame if he left without obtaining it?
Over there.
Shen Mo scanned his surroundings, seeing nothing but endless white. At first, the snowy landscape had been beautiful. But after seeing it for so long, it had become tiresome. This time, however, a flash of green caught the corner of his eye. A surge of excitement rose in Shen Mo's heart, and he immediately quickened his pace. A small green valley came into view. Inside the valley, towering trees stood tall, flowers and fruits flourished, and everything brimmed with life. The howling winds outside couldn't penetrate the valley, leaving its vibrant ecosystem untouched. With a single step, Shen Mo appeared inside the valley. Guided by the mutual attraction between eternal flames, he soon entered an underground cavern. At the deepest part of the cave, he saw a green flame. He took a deep breath and immediately felt an overwhelming surge of vitality coursing through his body. There was no mistake. This was the everlasting flame. However, he could tell at a glance that this flame was at its peak. Its strength was no less than a half-step Nirvana realm expert. Sensing the approach of a Nirvana realm cultivator, the everlasting flame erupted violently, forming an androgynous face made of fire.
Get lost. No one can tame me.
I am myself. I will never belong to any living being.
In an instant, the cave filled with green flames, clearly ready to attack at the slightest provocation. Shen Mo smiled.
You too, come out and have a chat with it.
Chapter 578. The strength division of the Nirvana realm depends only on Tao marks. The everlasting flame wore a puzzled expression. In the next moment, a pure white icy flame and a golden flame flew out from Shen Mo's body. The everlasting flame's eyes instantly widened.
9 nether ice flame. 9 heavens divine thunder flame. How were both of you tamed by a human?
9 nether ice flame gave a light cough.
This human standing before you has reversed desperate situations, saved countless lives, and is even favored by the will of heaven.
9 heavens divine thunder flame interrupted casually.
Quit rambling. You followed Shen Mo just because staying with him means you can feed on demon hearts, right? Just say it outright, same goes for me.
9 nether ice flame coughed awkwardly, unable to respond. The everlasting flame was dumbfounded. Back during the chaotic times of the demon race, he had fought alongside 9 nether ice flame and 9 heavens divine thunder flame. That's how they had become acquainted. Now, both old comrades had been tamed by a single human. He was filled with inexplicable confusion.
Old friend, let's go. There's no reason to remain here.
9 nether ice flame urged.
Shen Mo will go to the great world in the future. Don't you want to return?
9 heavens divine thunder flame added, noticing the everlasting flame's flicker of interest. The everlasting flame paused, turning to Shen Mo.
You can go back.
Shen Mo replied firmly.
I will definitely head to the great world. That is the grander stage.
The everlasting flame hesitated for a long while before finally speaking.
Very well, I'm willing to follow you for a while.
Shen Mo nodded with a smile and extended his hand. The everlasting flame turned into a small green snake and slithered along Shen Mo's arm into his body. Shen Mo focused his inner vision on the divine palace. Within the divine palace, there were now 5 eternal flames. In the order they had been tamed, they were Red Lotus Flame, Sun Essence Flame, 9 Nether Ice Flame, 9 Heavens Divine Thunder Flame, and the Everlasting Flame. Originally, Shen Mo had intended to tame the Void Incineration Flame. Unfortunately, in the great battle with Qingxuan, the Void Incineration Flame had been struck back into its core flame state. A Void Incineration Flame in that state would directly enter the Void Turbulence. Naturally, it could not be retrieved.
There are a total of 49 eternal flames ranked on the flame chart. Of these, only 6 exist in Guju Heaven and Earth. The remaining flames must be in the Great World.
Shen Mo's eyes shone with longing. He couldn't help but wonder, what would it be like to tame all the eternal flames? In the following days, Shen Mo began repairing the Void Shuttle. As for the 5 eternal flames, he didn't let them remain idle. The Dharma manifestation requires the burning of external flames to reveal Tao marks. Naturally, eternal flames were the best external flames for the task. The Yuan Elephant Dharma manifestation corresponded to 9 Nether Ice Flame. The Undying River Dharma manifestation corresponded to the Everlasting Flame. The Blazing Heavenly Eye Dharma manifestation corresponded to the Sun Essence Flame. As for the White Steed Dharma manifestation and the Battle Demon King Dharma manifestation, the 2 most suitable eternal flames to ignite them were the Divine Shadow Sky Flame and the 8 Desolation Breaking Flame. These 2 had yet to be found, so the matter was temporarily set aside. The Nirvana realm is not like other realms, which have divisions like initial, minor accomplishment, major accomplishment, perfect, and peak. The only way to measure a Nirvana realm cultivator's strength is by counting Tao marks. The more Tao marks, the greater the strength. Among them, 30, 60, and 90 marks are considered the 3 thresholds. Many cultivators, aware of their approaching limits and lacking time to burn more than 30 Tao marks, simply charge toward the higher realm with 30 marks. 30 Tao marks is the minimum requirement to impact a higher realm. For Shen Mo, this was an even greater challenge. Others possess only 1 or 2 Dharma manifestations. But he had 5. Even taking just the minimum threshold of 30 Tao marks each, that amounted to a total of 150. The path of growth is long and arduous. Chapter 579, Repairing the Void Shuttle and Officially Entering the Void. Several more years passed. Shen Mo gazed at the completely renewed Void Shuttle before him, feeling somewhat dazed. Despite possessing such exceptional artifact forging skills, it still took him a full 8 years to fully repair the Void Shuttle. Restoring it not only required a vast array of rare and nearly extinct heavenly materials and earthly treasures, but also numerous long-lost forging techniques. If not for the existence of the heavenly Tao treasury, it would have been impossible for Shen Mo to complete the repairs in just 8 years. Even with triple the time, it might not have been possible.
By my calculations, I should be exactly 100 years old this year.
Shen Mo did a quick mental calculation and smiled faintly. To reach the Nirvana realm at 100 years old. Such a monstrous cultivation speed made him unmatched in this world.
The Void Shuttle is now fully repaired. I might as well try venturing into the chaotic void currents near the minor world. But first, I must ensure my own safety.
Shen Mo communed briefly with the will of the heavenly Tao. Upon learning that its power could extend about 30,000 zhang around this world, he felt reassured. As long as he didn't stray too far, even if swept away by the void currents, the heavenly Tao's will could still pull him back. Adapting early to the void currents was crucial for Shen Mo. He had no idea how far the ancient continent was from the great world. It was necessary to prepare for the worst. Only then, when true disaster struck, would he be ready and not caught off guard. With a thought, Shen Mo arrived at the 4th layer of the demon-suppressing sea. It had been nearly 20 years since Qingxuan's death. The demon race had long been eradicated. However, traces of demonic energy still lingered here, like maggots clinging to the bone. The first 3 layers had been mostly cleansed of this energy. But from the 4th layer downward, it was only slightly purified, not completely. This lingering demonic energy interfered with Shen Mo's connection to the will of the heavenly Tao. Yet void vortexes only existed in the deeper levels of the demon-suppressing sea. After weighing the options, Shen Mo chose the 4th layer. He could explore deeper levels later, once he became more familiar with the void currents.
Found it!
Using his blood essence and spiritual energy to form a radiant bloodlight, Shen Mo quickly located a small void vortex. Void vortexes came in different sizes. Smaller ones were more stable, and the surrounding void currents more gentle. Ideal for a cultivator like Shen Mo, who was entering the void for the first time. He gazed at the space ahead and took a deep breath. In the next moment, he strode boldly into the vortex aboard the void shuttle. Buzz! In an instant, the world spun violently, twisting into a kaleidoscope of colors. Everything rotated and shifted at dizzying speed. After a few moments, Shen Mo finally saw his surroundings clearly. It was pitch black all around with almost no light. The only illumination came from the void shuttle he piloted. He looked up and down. The void shuttle had activated a glowing protective shield, encasing him within and isolating him from the chaotic void currents outside. Without the void shuttle, he would have already been engulfed and corroded by the endless void.
The void shuttle can absorb power from the void currents to sustain the shield. That saves me from having to expend energy myself.
Chapter 580, Ruins Within the Void, Beasts Within the Ruins. Shen Mo looked ahead. A massive ruin stood silently amidst the chaotic void currents. It resembled a reef amidst raging tides, unyielding no matter how fiercely the waves struck. He paused, then casually threw out a pitch-black stone. It was a piece of demon rock he had excavated from the 9th layer of the demon-suppressing sea. A stone soaked in demonic energy for thousands, even tens of thousands of years. Its hardness was astonishing. Even a full-strength blow from a Dharma manifestation realm cultivator could only crack it. But as soon as the demon rock left the void shuttle, it was instantly corroded by the chaotic void currents, reduced to dust in the blink of an eye. Shen Mo was amazed. Even a rock of such incredible hardness was swiftly eroded by the void. What material could that ruin be made of to withstand these currents for thousands of years? He glanced at his life panel. No signs of upcoming fortunes or turning points, only deepened his curiosity. He piloted the void shuttle closer. Soon he arrived before the ruin. From a distance, it already looked vast. Now up close, it felt even more majestic and overwhelming.
Just the gate alone is nearly 1,000 zhang tall. This surely isn't the work of the human race.
Shen Mo stared at the broken gate in awe. He examined the carvings around it and saw many dragon motifs. A guess began to form in his heart. This ruin might be connected to the dragon race. Not to flood dragons, but true dragons.
But why do I see no upcoming fortunes or turning points? Could it be?
Chapter 581, Strength Advancement, 2 Strands of Void Power. Shen Mo fell into deep thought. No wonder he couldn't see any recent fortunes or turning points. The opponent before him was abnormally powerful. Choosing to retreat was simply the wise course.
However, it will soon be heavily wounded by 3 Nirvana realm cultivators seeking treasure. That's a good opportunity.
A smile appeared on Shen Mo's face. Once Shiji was injured, he could take advantage and slip in. This was a beast capable of traversing the void at will. If he could control it, it would be a tremendous asset. Even if something went wrong with the void shuttle, relying on Shiji would allow him to move freely within the void. As for methods of control, there were more ways than simple taming. Possession techniques, puppet arts.
Undying River Dharma manifestation.
Shen Mo growled low and activated his manifestation, enduring the pain. Then he swallowed several healing pills. Only then did his physical regeneration barely matched the rate of erosion. A strange sight unfolded on his left arm. Muscles and veins would just begin to regenerate, only to be corroded again by the void current. Red and black entangled and clashed without end. Amid this intense struggle, Shen Mo's comprehension of the void power deepened steadily. He began to perceive the essence of void force. Destruction, erasure, corrosion. All concepts opposed to life and creation seemed tailor-made to describe the power of the void. As his understanding grew deeper, the contest between his life force and the void began to shift. From being completely overpowered at first, to reaching a balance, and eventually even pushing back against the void, expelling it from his hand. Shen Mo remained like a statue, sitting silently in place. 1 day, 2 days. 1 month, 2 months. A year, 2 years without a single movement. Until one day, his eyelids trembled slightly, and he suddenly opened his eyes.
2 strands of void power.
He turned his gaze inward to his divine palace, seeing the 2 jet-black, serpent-like strands of void energy coiling around his soul. A knowing smile spread across his face. It might seem like a simple increase from 1 to 2, but it was a full doubling. If he were to fight Qingxuan again now, channeling both strands of void power into his strongest strike, Qingxuan wouldn't even have the chance to counter before being torn to pieces on the spot.
I wonder how other Nirvana realm cultivators fare. Is my speed in comprehending void power considered fast or slow?
Shen Mo shook his head. Without a benchmark, he truly had no way of judging.
Looks like I'll need to accelerate further. Once I can stand in the calmer void currents without injury, I'll be ready to head toward the great world.
Chapter 582, Long-Prepared Plan to Strangle Shiji. 3 years later, Shen Mo once again arrived before the vast, ancient ruin. Even from afar, he could feel its age and weight. It resembled a slumbering giant beast lying in wait, waiting for greedy treasure seekers, then swallowing them whole in a single bite. Shen Mo observed the surroundings. Sure enough, he noticed something unusual. On a massive boulder at the ruin's entrance, several blue spots were clearly visible. They looked like blood. Obviously, the beast had indeed suffered serious injuries 3 years ago, barely escaping with its life and retreating to its lair.
Supreme Realm.
Shen Mo steered the void shuttle closer to the ruin. Plans and contingencies already ran through his mind. Roar! A bellow came from deep within the ruin. 2 crimson eyes lit up in the darkness. Oppressive and fierce. But compared to the roar 3 years ago, this one felt hollow and strained. Even the glare in its eyes carried more threat than confidence.
I'm back.
Shen Mo smiled faintly and raised his hand. The Qingxuan divine spear formed in an instant and blasted toward the ruin. Roar! Shiji roared in rage and swatted the spear away with its claws. The divine spear slammed into a stone wall with a deafening boom. But the stone didn't even crack. Boom, boom, boom. Heavy footsteps echoed from within the ruin. In the next moment, a massive shadow appeared before Shen Mo. Only now did he see Shiji's true form clearly. It looked like a massive, pitch-black crocodile. But it had 4 pairs of limbs. A pair of small flesh wings sprouted from its back. Its tail was enormous, like a giant spiked mace. Clearly, the tail was one of its primary weapons. Shen Mo also saw a long, narrow wound across its back. Only a third of one flesh wing remained. Clearly, it had been damaged in the battle with the Supreme Realm Cultivator 3 years ago. Roar, roar, roar. Shiji roared repeatedly, as if warning Shen Mo stay away or suffer the consequences. Man and beast locked eyes in midair, and the clash was like thunder and fire. Shen Mo didn't waste words. The Dharma manifestations of the primordial elephant, battle titan, and blazing heavenly eye appeared in turn. He raised his hand, blood essence surged, condensing into the Qingxuan divine spear. Spiritual energy roared forth, forming the ancient void swords. Dual attacks erupted, as if a violent storm were unleashed. Shiji was enraged. But even with 4 pairs of limbs, it couldn't keep up. Some attacks inevitably struck its body. Shen Mo's strikes were precise and vicious, many aimed directly at the wound on its back. Blue blood splattered out, staining the surrounding rocks deep azure. Roar! Shiji let out a distressed howl. It had realized, injured as it was no match for this human. It had to flee. It lashed its massive tail, sweeping away Shen Mo's attacks, and turned to escape into the depths of the ruin.
If I want you dead, you must die. The greatest mistake of your life was turning your back on me.
Chapter 583, Taiyan Puppet Formation. Sui Xing becomes a new soul. Shen Mo stepped out of the void shuttle and arrived before the massive corpse of Shiji. The surrounding void turbulence was not violent, but rather quite calm. With his current mastery of void power, he could walk out of the void shuttle and move freely in this place. He immediately began setting up an array around the corpse of Shiji. This array was called the
Taiyan Puppet Formation.
It was a low-grade saint-level array. The required heavenly materials and earthly treasures had long been obtained through the Tiandao treasury.
Setup complete. I can begin refining the puppet now.
Shen Mo gave a slight nod, then sat calmly at the core of the formation and activated it. The Taiyan Puppet Formation would transform the body of Shiji using those materials. This transformation would allow the body to accommodate a new soul without rejection. In the final step, a new soul would be infused into the body of Shiji. With that, the puppet would be fully completed. The array had to be completed within 1 hour of the target's death. Otherwise, the effect would diminish drastically. The creator of the Taiyan Puppet Formation was the Qingxuan Saint. Just hearing the name, one could tell he was not someone to be trifled with. He was likely a figure on the same level as the Yan Dai, Wu Zhu, and Huang Zun. The process of refining the puppet, while not full of twists and turns, was at least smooth and without mishaps. After several hours, Shen Mo exhaled slowly and looked at Shiji, a smile spreading across his face. At that moment, Shiji wobbled and stood up. Its previously fierce eyes now shone with curiosity and confusion. It opened its mouth trying to speak, but only deep, unpleasant syllables came out. Shen Mo chuckled.
If you want to speak, you'll need a lot of practice. For now, use written words.
Shiji blinked in understanding. It opened its mouth and a scroll of sword script flew from its belly, revealing a line of text.
I have a body now, thank you, Dad.
Shen Mo smiled. The soul he had infused into Shiji's body was none other than the artifact spirit, Sui Xing. After being refined through the Taiyan Puppet Formation, the body of Shiji was not much different from a spiritual artifact. Naturally, the artifact spirit could be treated as a soul and integrated into it. This was precisely the brilliance of the Taiyan Puppet Formation. Had it been any other puppet array, it would have required a true soul human, beast, or demon.
Dad, I feel stronger. I can help you from now on.
Sui Xing projected another line of text. Shen Mo nodded in satisfaction.
I don't need anything from you right now. Just focus on cultivating and becoming stronger.
Sui Xing replied.
Okay, don't worry, Dad.
Shen Mo thought for a moment.
Right, tell me what treasures are inside Shiji's belly.
Sui Xing fell silent, likely examining its body internally. After a while, a message appeared.
Dad, there's so much treasure. I'll spit it out for you to see.
Shen Mo's eyes lit up.
Let me see.
With a loud wah, Shiji spat out a pile of glittering treasures. Shen Mo glanced over them and couldn't help clicking his tongue. Most of them were shiny but utterly useless trinkets. However, after picking through them for a while, Shen Mo did find a few unexpected items.
A golden bead, extremely hot, likely the Saint-grade low-tier treasure, Kaiyan Tianzhu. A broken golden longsword, with a dual-colored phoenix engraved on the hilt. And a torn golden page carrying a trace of true dragon aura, but the patterns are ancient and obscure, difficult to decipher.
Chapter 584, 3 Strands of Void Power, A Sudden Glimmer of Light. The Crimson Flame Sky Pearl was a fine treasure. It was the companion item of the 15th-ranked exotic flame, the Falling Star Flame. No matter which exotic flame it was refined into, it could rapidly boost that flame's power. Naturally, the best use for it now was to feed it to the nine heavens' divine thunder flame for maximum effect. As for the broken phoenix sword, though incomplete, even a brief test revealed that it was at least a saint-grade spiritual weapon. The artifact's spirit inside appeared to still be in a deep slumber. Shen Mo discovered that using this weapon required both ice and fire elemental spiritual energy. The person best suited for it was clearly Murong Yue. It happened that, in the future, if he were to leave Guzhu heaven and earth, Murong Yue would need something to defend herself. This phoenix sword was perfect for her. As for the golden page, Shen Mo couldn't determine what it was. Even the will of Tiandao had never seen it and could not make a judgment. However, since it was related to a true dragon, it was certainly of great value. Someday in the future, it might prove useful. Shen Mo placed it deep within his storage ring.
Sui Xing, cultivate well here.
Before leaving, Shen Mo gave a few more instructions.
Don't worry, Dad.
Sui Xing responded enthusiastically. Only then did Shen Mo depart. Time passed swiftly. In the blink of an eye, 5 years had gone by. Beyond Guzhu heaven and earth, within the chaotic void currents, a solitary figure stood tall, facing the force of the currents head-on. In this moment, he was like a time-worn pine rooted deep in stone cliffs. No matter which way the winds blew, he remained unmoved. Though the void power occasionally eroded and damaged his skin, his powerful physique allowed it to regenerate quickly. Shen Mo looked inward at his divine palace and found that a third strand of void power had appeared. A satisfied smile rose on his face.
At last it's done.
He exhaled a long breath. The path of comprehending void power was a long and arduous one. Even someone as exceptionally gifted and perceptive as he was had taken 5 full years to adapt to the chaotic void currents. Of course, his body could still only endure the gentler void currents. If he were to be caught in those violent, turbulent currents, he would suffer serious damage. Over these years of tempering himself in the void, Shen Mo had come to realize more and more that the void extended far beyond what he could currently perceive. The truly deadly and desperate zones had yet to bear their fangs. Unless one was like Shijie, ferocious beast born and raised within the void, one must always hold reverence for the void. Arrogance would lead to death.
What's that?
Just as Shen Mo was preparing to return to Guzhu heaven and earth to bid farewell to friends and family, he suddenly caught a flash of light ahead. His interest was immediately piqued. At the Nirvana realm, one could briefly teleport through the void by utilizing void power in their movement techniques. This allowed one to greatly increase the distance traveled in an instant. During such teleportation, the cultivator would appear within the void itself. Of course, if one were unlucky and ended up in violent void turbulence during that process, they would most likely be annihilated. So, using void-powered movement techniques was often a last resort to escape death. It wasn't something to be used lightly. Shen Mo had tested this method many times, and so he immediately recognized the glow just now as the light produced by someone using void-powered movement.
To think I'd run into another cultivator out here. Let's take a look.
Chapter 585. Arriving in the Great World, a pie falls from the sky. Chapter 585. Arriving in the Great World, a pie falls from the sky. Shen Mo felt the world spin around him. The scenery changed rapidly. Moments later, he realized he was standing on a sea island. In the distance, the sea and sky blended together, the azure skies clear and pure. Only the rhythmic crashing of waves could be heard around him. Despite the isolation, the island teemed with vitality. Looking deeper into its interior, Shen Mo saw layer upon layer of mountain ranges and lush, dense primeval forest. He took a deep breath. The air was saturated with rich spiritual energy. It made one feel light, as if ready to float upward and ascend to immortality. From the depths of the island came faint, earth-shaking roars of ferocious beasts. One roar triggered another. In an instant, the resulting shockwaves surged outward like crashing tides in all directions. Just from the intensity of those successive roars, it was clear these beasts were of no low level. At the very least, they were 8th rank, comparable to cultivators of the Dharma aspect realm.
This density of spiritual energy.
Shen Mo was stunned. He hadn't expected that simply chasing after a flash of light would land him in the great world. It truly caught him off guard. After all, he had made extensive preparations just to cross the void. He had spent years repairing the void shuttle and comprehending void power. But thinking it through, he was no longer surprised. The fact that he had even noticed the light, tracked it, and found the void vortex was thanks to his deep understanding of void power. Had he only grasped the surface, he would never have perceived that fleeting glimmer. And certainly would not have been able to follow it all the way, encountering neither major obstacles nor danger, before finding this vortex. Every stroke of fortune favors the prepared. Clearly, he was prepared, hence this unintended early arrival in the great world.
Still, this also means I can't go back.
Shen Mo turned to look behind him. The small void vortex had already vanished. It was obviously a temporary rift formed by a cultivator forcibly using void power. Once the power was depleted, the vortex naturally disappeared. Shen Mo gave a helpless laugh. This did go against his original plan. But now, he could only take things one step at a time. After some thought, Shen Mo decided to move toward the denser spiritual energy. Generally speaking, where spiritual energy gathered, cultivators would gather as well. As long as he found other cultivators, he could obtain much-needed information. However, before he could move, a figure sped toward him from the sky. Shen Mo's divine sense swept over the figure. In an instant, he realized the person had not yet reached the Nirvana realm, but was clearly stronger than a peak Dharma aspect cultivator. It was likely a half-step Nirvana cultivator. That person also immediately spotted Shen Mo. Without saying a word, he flung a storage ring in Shen Mo's direction. And then shouted at the top of his lungs.
Got the goods, run.
His voice was loud, as if afraid no one would hear it. With that, he accelerated again, sending massive waves dozens of feet high crashing over the sea. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. Shen Mo frowned slightly. He sent his divine sense into the storage ring. There was nothing inside, except a single golden page. What surprised him was that this golden page was identical in shape to the one he had retrieved from Shiji's belly. They seemed to share the same origin. But he was well aware that such an unexpected
gift
was no pie falling from the sky. And sure enough, he had only flown a few hundred meters before pursuers appeared behind him.
Hand over the Azure Dragon Gold page.
Chapter 586, One Spear, 3 Dead Qingxuan Cave Heaven. Chapter 586, One Spear, 3 Dead Qingxuan Cave Heaven. Shen Mo turned around and saw 4 figures skimming over the waves, killing intent surging. With just one glance, he could tell they were all half-step Nirvana cultivators. Shen Mo frowned slightly.
I have nothing to do with that man. Bullshit, still trying to stall for time. Kill him. He dared to steal a treasure from our Qingxuan cave heaven. He's courting death.
The leading man roared, manifesting a black serpent Dharma form that spewed out black mist. The other 3 also summoned their Dharma forms. One was a giant cauldron, another a long spear, and the last a white flower. 4 Dharma techniques surged forth like a tidal wave, blanketing the sky. They clearly had no intention of reasoning and were aiming to kill. Shen Mo shook his head slightly. He had just arrived and hadn't even figured out what was going on. He hadn't intended to act rashly. But the other side came at him with murderous intent, giving him no chance to speak, and even aimed to strike a killing blow. Shen Mo was someone who reasoned with others. But when others refused to reason, he saw no need to be polite. With a thought, Shen Mo summoned his Yuanxiang Dharma form. 6 ancient, profound engravings were etched across its surface. Dao patterns. The leader's eyes widened the moment he saw them. Dharma form with Dao patterns. That was the mark of a Nirvana cultivator. They had provoked a Nirvana-level expert. The other 3 also sensed something was wrong and quickly looked toward their leader.
Big brother, what do we do?
The leader sneered.
So what if he's in the Nirvana realm? We're 4 half-step Nirvana cultivators. Are we supposed to be afraid? Anyone who dares offend our Qingxuan cave heaven.
With that, not only did he not retract his Dharma form, he poured in more spiritual power, making the pressure even more overwhelming. The other 3 nodded slightly. If they had only been peak Dharma aspect cultivators, they would have fled without a second thought. But being half-step Nirvana meant the gap wasn't too great. Besides, the opponent only had 6 Tao patterns, clearly someone who had just broken through. They, on the other hand, were disciples of Qingxuan cave heaven, with strong foundations. If a real fight broke out, they might even have the upper hand. Shen Mo heard their conversation and shook his head again. Heaven may forgive natural calamity, but man-made folly deserves no mercy. He raised a hand and pointed forward. The Yuanxiang shrieked, its long trunk coiling. And a mighty divine spear shot out like lightning. It was the Netherworld Abyss Spear. Whoosh! In a split second, the 4 Dharma techniques were shattered. Like fragile glass, they crumbled instantly. After crushing the enemy's Dharma forms, the Netherworld Abyss Spear didn't lose momentum and struck all 4 men head-on. In an instant, the 3 weaker cultivators vomited blood, their chests caved in. By the time they hit the ground, their life force had vanished. Their bodies dropped into the sea, where sea beasts, drawn by the scent of blood, devoured the corpses within moments. Only the tall, thin leader managed to cling to life. He collapsed on the shore, vomiting blood and flesh, eyes filled with terror as he looked at Shen Mo. 4 disciples of Qingxuan cave heaven, all half-step Nirvana cultivators, had been annihilated by a single strike. Who was this man, an elder from some great sect?
Which sect are you from? Sun Moon Sect, Hidden Dragon Isle, Rare Treasure Alliance.
Clutching his chest, he kept backing away. Shen Mo said nothing, simply watching him calmly. The tall man clenched his jaw, then growled with threat.
I'm from the Inner Sea. I'm a core disciple of Qingxuan cave heaven. If you dare kill me, no matter where you run, even to the ends of the earth, Qingxuan cave heaven will hunt you down.
Chapter 587, Liuoxing Sea region of the Southern Archipelago. Shen Mo pointed toward the distant sea, his expression peculiar.
I've already killed 3 of your people. 1 more makes no difference.
The tall, thin man's face instantly turned pale.
Do you know why you're still alive?
Shen Mo said casually. He shook his head. Shen Mo spoke lightly.
Because I'm keeping you alive to ask a few questions.
The man's expression immediately grew extremely grim. Shen Mo said calmly.
Answer my questions, and I'll let you die quickly. If you don't answer, I'll make you wish you were dead. From now on, I ask you answer. Understood?
The tall, thin man seemed to be drained of all energy in an instant, and could only nod dejectedly. Shen Mo.
Where is this place?
The man replied.
Southern Archipelago, Liuoxing Sea region. This is under the domain of Hidden Dragon Island.
Shen Mo.
Qingxuan Yin Cave Heaven and the Sun Moon Sect you just mentioned. What kind of sects are they?
The man answered.
Qingxuan Yin Cave Heaven is one of the strongest top-tier powers in the Southern Archipelago. It's located in the Inner Sea. Sun Moon Sect, Hidden Dragon Island, and Rare Treasure Alliance are all considered first-class powers, located in the Outer Sea.
Shen Mo asked again.
What other top-tier powers are comparable to Qingxuan Yin Cave Heaven?
The man said.
Heaven Talisman Sect, Blood God Demon Court, Myriad Phenomena Sacred Ground, and Flame Flood Dragon Hall.
Shen Mo nodded.
Explain them one by one.
The man had no choice but to detail each of the top-tier factions. Shen Mo listened with a thoughtful expression. The power dynamics of the Southern Archipelago were chaotic. Qingxuan Yin Cave Heaven acted tyrannically and was considered one of the demonic sects here. Corpse refinement, puppet refinement, poison arts, goo worms mastery and all. Heaven Talisman Sect was a righteous faction. Most of its disciples cultivated talisman arts. Blood God Demon Court was a faction established by the demon race and often aligned closely with Qingxuan Yin Cave Heaven. Myriad phenomena sacred ground didn't interfere in the affairs of other sects and focused solely on suppressing demonic chaos. Flame Flood Dragon Hall operated under the command of the four sacred dragon palaces, specifically responsible for collecting heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the southern archipelago. Because of the four sacred dragon palaces' immense strength, the Flame Flood Dragon Hall could barely be considered on par with top-tier forces like Qingxuan Yin Cave Heaven and Heaven Talisman Sect. After all, few dared to provoke the true dragon race. Shen Mo.
Where is the nearest island where cultivators gather?
The man replied.
30,000 li, to the southeast floating Cloud Island under the control of Hidden Dragon Island.
Shen Mo pondered briefly, then asked.
Final question, what is the Azure Dragon Gold page?
The man shook his head.
I don't know what it contains, just give me a swift end.
Shen Mo could tell he wasn't lying. So he cleanly struck, piercing the man's skull and heart. As for the corpse, he threw it into the sea. The sea beasts would naturally take care of the remains.
I didn't expect to run into trouble the moment I arrived in this world.
Shen Mo shook his head. However, he had cleaned the scene thoroughly. And he was an outsider. Qingxuan Yin Cave Heaven shouldn't be able to trace this to him. Even if they tried, they would likely only trace it back to the one who stole the Azure Dragon Gold page. Shen Mo determined his direction and flew southeast. But he had barely flown over 10,000 li when a figure appeared before him. It was the same young man who had just shifted the trouble onto him earlier.
Taoist friend, I didn't expect you to still be alive. Thank goodness you survived. I was really worried that my helpless act might have gotten you killed.
Chapter 588, Radiant Gold Fate Pattern, Ancestral Dragon Treasure Bone. He immediately composed himself and adopted a friendly demeanor. Shen Mo took another look at the man. He had thick eyebrows, sharp eyes, a rugged face, and a robust physique, walking with the bearing of a dragon and the power of a tiger. Though not a once-in-a-generation beauty, his features and laughter carried a refreshing warmth, naturally drawing others to want to befriend him. Shen Mo's interest was suddenly piqued. He hadn't noticed anything unusual during their first encounter. But now, examining closely, he realized this man's life panel was extraordinary. Name Shitianhao. Realm Half-Step Nirvana Realm. Fate Patterns, half-human half-dragon, ancestral dragon treasure bone, defies the heavens, friends everywhere, survives great calamities, born with auspicious blessings, heavenly fiend lone star, 5-dragon annihilation physique, minor island lord of hidden dragon island. Destiny, ascend to the saint realm, transcend this world and live freely. Half-human half-dragon, purple fate pattern, your father is human, your mother a true dragon, you are a dragonkin. You cultivate dragon race techniques and martial arts at increased efficiency. You naturally exude a powerful aura that suppresses weaker humans. Ancestral dragon treasure bone, radiant gold fate pattern. Within your body lies a bone from the ancestral dragon. You have an extraordinary sensitivity to ancestral dragon relics. When cultivating advanced dragon techniques and martial skills, your results are greatly enhanced. Each time you advance a major realm, you will receive a treasure from the ancestral dragon bone. Defies the heavens, gold fate pattern, your fortune is utterly heaven-defying. If the god of fortune truly exists while most geniuses are its children, you are its father. Friends everywhere, red fate pattern, you form bonds easily. Confidants and companions are found across the world. No matter how desperate your circumstances, someone will always offer aid. Survives great calamities, red fate pattern. You will not face many catastrophes in life, but when great danger strikes, you will always survive. Born with auspicious blessings, gold fate pattern, your fortune and destiny are one in a million. You are more likely than others to encounter the emergence of treasures, and often receive divine weapons or miraculous pills out of nowhere. Heavenly fiend lone star, red fate pattern. You lost your mother at 1, your father at 3, and your entire family at 9. Though you will have many close companions and romantic partners, you never truly trust anyone nor open your heart. All who grow close to you will suffer calamities because of you. The deeper the bond, the worse the disaster. 5 Dragon Annihilation Physique, Gold Fate Pattern, a mid-grade Saint class physique. When you cultivate 5 different dragon techniques to profound levels, you will spontaneously comprehend the ancestral dragon's personally created top-grade Saint technique. True Dragon Dao Scripture. Minor Island Lord of Hidden Dragon Island, Purple Fate Pattern. You are one of several hundred minor island lords under the jurisdiction of Hidden Dragon Island. After reading through these fate patterns, Shen Mo's eyes lit up. The way he looked at Shi Tianhao changed completely. Before, he had simply seen him as a passerby. Now it was as if he were looking at a fat, juicy sheep. One with thick fur and tender meat. Radiant Gold Fate Pattern. It had to be a tier above standard gold fate patterns. This was the first time he had ever seen one. That look in his eyes made Shi Tianhao's heart pound with unease. No one had ever looked at him like that before.
Taoist friend, why are you looking at me like this?
Shi Tianhao asked with an awkward smile. Shen Mo smiled faintly.
Did you know I was just surrounded by 4 half-step Nirvana realm cultivators? All of them were from Qingxuan Yin Cave Heaven. You dragged me into that mess.
Shi Tianhao replied sincerely.
I, Shi Tianhao, have always treated others with kindness. What I did earlier was a desperate move. But I've come now with genuine intent to make amends. Tell me, Taoist friend, divine weapons, spirit pills, cultivation arts, martial techniques, what do you want? If I have it, I'll give it to you. Perhaps this encounter will even become the start of a true, heartfelt friendship. I only ask, Taoist friend, that you return the gold page to me. It's extremely important.
Chapter 589, False Friends and Friendly Facades. Shi Tianhao's smile was honest and sincere. His posture was also modest, making people feel at ease, prompting a genuine desire to befriend him. Shen Mo smiled. Heart to heart. Close lifelong friends. Like hell. The heavenly fiend Lone Star Fate pattern cursed his parents as a child and curses his friends as an adult. Anyone who gets close to him inevitably suffers disaster.
Before I return it to you, tell me, what exactly does this gold page do?
Shen Mo looked at Shi Tianhao with a half-smile. Shi Tianhao's expression froze. Just moments ago, he'd been beaming with friendliness, and now he turned stiff and cold.
Taoist friend, I truly can't say. If I tell you, you'll be dragged into an enormous storm. Qingxuan Yin Cave Heaven might very well trace it to you. In both reason and emotion, I can't let a stranger like you get involved. That would go against my principles.
He took a moment to organize his words, then spoke with sincerity. His tone remained full of apparent goodwill, as though he were truly considering Shen Mo's safety. Shen Mo shook his head.
Then I'm afraid I can't comply. I'm also quite interested in this item.
With that, he turned to leave. Shi Tianhao panicked. He quickly stepped in front of Shen Mo.
Taoist friend, you seem to be a rogue cultivator. I happen to be one of Hidden Dragon Island's minor island lords. If you're willing, I can recommend you to join Hidden Dragon Island. You should know that in the outer sea of the southern archipelago, countless rogue cultivators dream of entering Hidden Dragon Island, but they'd break their heads trying and still never succeed.
Shen Mo was immediately tempted. When he had been playing the Q&A game with the tall, thin man from Qingxuan Yin Cave Heaven, he had learned a general overview of the sects in the outer sea. Among the hundreds of sects, Hidden Dragon Island ranked as a first-class power. There were plenty of cultivators who longed to enter, hoping to rely on such a great tree for shade yet couldn't even find the door. Of course, Shen Mo wasn't joining Hidden Dragon Island to hide under someone's wing. He was joining because of Shi Tianhao. If he became a disciple of Hidden Dragon Island, he'd be able to meet Shi Tianhao frequently and track his movements. Wouldn't that mean he could pluck treasure from this fat sheep every single day? Seeing that Shen Mo was swayed, Shi Tianhao immediately pushed further.
If I'm not mistaken, Taoist friend, you're likely on the verge of reaching the Nirvana realm. Nirvana cultivators require external flame to burn their manifestation. You must be struggling with that. In the entire outer sea, No sect has greater advantage in this regard than Hidden Dragon Island. You should know we control a chain of undersea volcanoes, right? They consistently produce 1,000-year earthfire marrow and even 10,000-year earthfire marrow. With enough contribution to the sect, one could even exchange for earthfire essence, which surpasses even the 10,000-year marrow. With such heavenly materials, you'll be able to accelerate the burning of your manifestation and the emergence of your Tao patterns.
Shi Tianhao added sincerely.
As a token of goodwill, I'm willing to gift you a piece of 1,000-year earthfire marrow right now.
After speaking, he clenched his jaw and reluctantly took out a piece of 1,000-year earthfire marrow, offering it with both hands. There was no reason for Shen Mo to reject such a rare treasure freely delivered to his door. He accepted it with a pleased smile.
I didn't expect Taoist Shi to be a minor island lord of Hidden Dragon Island. An honor indeed. I've heard of Hidden Dragon Islands since my early years. Since Island Lord Shi is so warm and welcoming, I shall gladly accept your offer.
Shen Mo let out a hearty laugh, slipping fully into the persona of a rogue cultivator, and cupped his fists in return.
Excellent, excellent. From now on we're friends, Taoist Shen. Come, let's head to the nearby floating cloud island. I'll host a welcome banquet in your honor.
Chapter 590. Master of the Flower Burial Cave arrives at Floating Cloud Island. Not long after Shen Mo and Shi Tianhao departed for Floating Cloud Island, a massive warship surged forward with great momentum, approaching the nameless island. On its deck, exotic fragrance wafted in the air, and thick purple mist swirled. On both sides of the deck stood over a dozen burly men. Yet each one had vacant eyes, as if devoid of life. In the center of their formation stood a curtained pavilion of sheer silk. Two beautiful maids stood silently on either side. Behind the veil lay a mature and alluring woman, reclining at the edge of a soft couch. The maid on the left, Chen Yu, spoke respectfully.
Cave Master, we've arrived.
The maid on the right, Luo Yan, said solemnly.
Cave Master, there's no one on the island.
A voice like icy frost came from within the curtain.
Where are Zhao Wu and the other three? All dead.
Luo Yan, go check the island.
At her command, the maid on the right flew off the deck and searched along the coastline for a while before returning with torn pieces of cloth.
Cave Master, these are disciple robes from Qingxuan Yin Cave Heaven. They're likely dead.
Luo Yan said seriously. The woman suddenly rose. Even her loose Taoist robes couldn't hide the astonishing curves of her figure. Her face, however, was half covered with sheer silk, veiling her delicate features.
Search the nearby islands.
Chen Yu respectfully replied.
Reporting to Cave Master. The nearest island is Floating Cloud Island, roughly 30,000 li southeast. It belongs to Hidden Dragon Island's territory.
As one of the masters of Qingxuan Yin Cave Heaven, if you step into their domain, it may draw unnecessary trouble.
Luo Yan cast her a glance and said seriously.
Give Hidden Dragon Island 800 more guts, and they still wouldn't dare touch Cave Master. What are you worried about? Do you think Cave Master should sneak into Floating Cloud Island like a thief?
Chen Yu said respectfully.
I merely fear alerting our target too soon.
The woman remained calm.
The Qingxuan Yin vessel stays here. Chen Yu, Luo Yan, both of you remain on standby.
Chen Yu hesitated.
Cave Master, we can handle this in your stead.
The woman's voice turned cold.
Did you not hear the command?
Only then did Chen Yu lower her head in fear.
Please forgive me, Cave Master. I only wish to share your burden.
With a light gesture, the woman summoned a luxurious Taoist robe to fully cover herself. She said indifferently,
This kind of small task hand Zanghua doesn't need others to handle it for her.
With that, the woman floated off the deck like a graceful butterfly. With a tap of her toe, her body accelerated swiftly. In the blink of an eye, she vanished across the sea. Chen Yu and Luo Yan exchanged a glance and said nothing. Far away, Han Zanghua paused on the water, gazing back in the direction of the warship. Her expression was like still water.
Dead weight. I'll have to find a chance to get rid of those two nuisances.
But for now, The top priority is recovering the Azure Gold page.
Before setting out, I gave a military pledge. I must retrieve the stolen Azure Gold page. If I fail to bring it back soon, I may not be able to hold on to this position as Cave Master.
Chapter 591. An honored guest visits and reveals a clue. Shen Mo took a gentle breath. He could immediately feel the spiritual energy here was extremely rich, even denser than that of the island he had first arrived at. As expected, the quality of spiritual energy in the southern archipelago far surpassed that of Guju heaven and earth. Cultivators in the southern archipelago, even if slightly inferior in physique, would likely progress further than those from Guju heaven and earth simply by virtue of this environment. If the southern archipelago was like this, then other regions of the great heaven and earth likely shared similar conditions. In such an environment, the emergence of nirvana, supreme, or even saint realm cultivators would naturally be more frequent.
Come, I'll take you to meet the Island Lord of Ligan Island. I'm well acquainted with Brother Songhil. Definitely host us with a welcome banquet.
Shi Tianhao laughed heartily and pulled Shen Mo along. At the center of Ligan Island stood a gently sloping hill. Atop it was a grand and continuous complex of buildings. Imposing and majestic, steeped in classical elegance. Even from a distance, Shen Mo could already glimpse the architecture. With their cultivation levels, they could easily fly directly to it. But doing so would be disrespectful to the host. Shen Mo also had no intention of drawing too much attention. So the two ascended the mountain on foot. Along the way, they chatted about many things. Some matters Shi Tianhao wouldn't reveal a single word. But Shen Mo still learned quite a bit about the internal structure of Qingxuan Island. For example, Qingxuan Island had 36 island lords on the surface, all of whom were major island lords. In addition, there were over 100 smaller islands. Each of these smaller islands also required cultivators to guard them. The ones in charge of these were the minor island lords. The major island lords were all Nirvana realm cultivators. Among the minor island lords, the stronger ones had half-step Nirvana cultivation, while the weaker ones were at the peak of the Dharma manifestation realm. Shi Tianhao was one such minor island lord. As for the island lord of Ligun Island, Song Zhenfei, he was a major island lord. During their conversation along the way, even Shen Mo couldn't help but be impressed. Shi Tianhao was always humble and modest when dealing with people. He was adept at reading expressions and gauging intent. He liked to echo others' sentiments when speaking. This made interactions with him feel comfortable. Over time, friendships naturally formed. And in time, people would begin to share their inner thoughts with him. Unbeknownst to them, Shi Tianhao never truly regarded anyone as a close friend. To him, everyone had a value to be used. The only difference was how great that value was. Before long, Shen Mo and Shi Tianhao arrived at the main entrance. Looking up, the plaque bore 3 large characters, Ligun Residence. At the gate stood 2 muscular guards, one on each side. They radiated a cold aura that warned strangers to keep their distance. It was clear they cultivated some blood qi techniques.
Stop there. Unauthorized individuals may not enter.
The guard on the left extended his hand to block Shen Mo and Shi Tianhao. Shi Tianhao produced his token. Smiling, he said,
Shi Tianhao, minor island lord of Qingxuan Island. I am a friend of your island lord Song.
Only then did the cold expressions on the guards' faces ease. Though a minor island lord could not compare to a major one, not just anyone could hold the title. Moreover, this man claimed to be a friend of island lord Song. That made it even less appropriate to offend him.
Please wait, island lord Shi. Island lord Song is currently in the main hall meeting with 2 other guests. I will go report your arrival.
The guard on the left said respectfully.
Very well, thank you.
Shi Tianhao smiled and cupped his hands in thanks. He then glanced at the guard on the right and, without a sound, handed over a few supreme-grade spirit stones.
Fellow Taoist, might I ask, do you know which 2 honored guests Island Lord Song is meeting with? Could you perhaps share a clue or 2?
Chapter 592, The Temperament of Shi Tianhao. He was merely a lowly divine transformation realm cultivator. After joining Ligan Island, his annual salary amounted to only 10 supreme-grade spirit stones. Yet Shi Tianhao handed out 6 supreme-grade spirit stones in one go, more than half a year's salary. Furthermore, he addressed him as
Fellow Taoist.
one must know that title is typically reserved for cultivators of the same realm. For someone at divine transformation realm to be called
Fellow Taoist.
by a half-step nirvana cultivator, it showed that the other party was truly respectful and did not look down on him due to his lower cultivation. Naturally, his face lit up with delight. Shen Mo observed the entire exchange and nodded slightly. He had seen many geniuses, such as Xiao Fan, Yi Yan, and Lin Dongshan. But those types tended to be arrogant or indifferent. They rarely held ordinary cultivators in any regard. Yet Shi Tianhao was willing to spend 6 supreme-grade spirit stones just for a single piece of information from a divine transformation cultivator. That alone proved his future far surpassed those so-called geniuses like Xiao Fan, Yi Yan, or Lin Dongshan. The guard gave a chuckle.
Island Lord, she is generous. But it's not all that secret anyway.
He lowered his voice and said,
Those 2 major island lords are Liu Yunqui, Island Lord of Mingzhu Island, and Xing Zhang, proprietor of the Qingxuan Alliance.
Shi Tianhao raised an eyebrow and slipped him another supreme-grade spirit stone.
Fellow Taoist, do you happen to know why these 3 are meeting?
The guard lowered his voice even further.
That I don't know for sure. But I heard that Island Lord Liu and proprietor Xing brought quite a few treasures with them. Seems like they're planning to compare and appraise them with Island Lord Song.
Only then did Shi Tianhao nod.
Much appreciated.
After hearing this, Shen Mo glanced at Shi Tianhao's life panel, paying special attention to his recent fortunes, and couldn't help but smile. Soon, the guard who had gone to make the report returned.
Island Lord Shi, Island Lord Song invites you in.
Shi Tianhao cupped his hands toward him.
Thank you for passing on the message, fellow Taoist. Brother Shen, let's go, we'll head in together.
This is a good chance to introduce you to Island Lord Liu and proprietor Xing.
After all, we'll have to get acquainted with them eventually. The more friends you have, the more paths you open.
Shen Mo smiled.
Not a bad idea.
Chapter 593, A Genius Proficient in the Tao of Caution. Chapter 593, A Genius Proficient in the Tao of Caution. On the left side of the long table sat a thin, elderly man. His hair was white and his face was full of wrinkles. Triangular eyes and a hooked nose gave him a sinister appearance. He wore an ornate long robe that swayed with the wind, producing a low, rustling sound. With just one glance, Shen Mo could tell that this man's remaining lifespan was short. At most 50 more years, he would inevitably die of old age. On the right side of the long table sat a plump woman. Her hair was styled in a high bun, her complexion pale and her lips thin. She carried a sharp, mean-spirited air. When Shen Mo and Shi Tianhao entered the main hall, she was brazenly sizing them up. It left an unpleasant impression. Song Zhenfei quickly stood and said,
Ha ha ha, I didn't expect it to be Brother Shi. If I hadn't been tied up, I should have gone to welcome you myself.
You've come at just the right time. Manager Xing and Island Master Liu are here. Perfect chance to introduce you all.
He turned to the elderly man and woman.
This young fellow is named Shi Tianhao, one of the minor island masters of our hidden dragon island. You should know the island he oversees, Qingxuan Island. He earned that position through solid merit. I'm on good terms with Brother Shi. Just over 100 years old and already half nirvana realm, his future is bright.
Hearing this, Xing Zhang and Liu Yunqui gave Shi Tianhao a more serious look.
So you're Shi Tianhao, I've heard of you.
Xing Zhang said warmly.
Several major island masters say you're a one-in-a-million genius.
Shi Tianhao quickly cupped his hands.
Senior Xing flatters me. I've simply had a bit of good luck and a few fortuitous encounters.
Liu Yunqui licked her lips.
Little Brother Shi, interested in visiting my Mingzhu Island sometime.
Shi Tianhao laughed.
Thank you for your kindness, Sister Liu, but I'm quite busy with cultivation matters at the moment and may not get the chance. However, I've heard that your overturning clouds technique is impressive. If I have the opportunity, I'll certainly visit Mingzhu Island. I hope Sister Liu will then grant me a friendly spar.
Liu Yunqiu chuckled lightly.
You really know how to speak.
With just a few words, Shi Tianhao was chatting comfortably with the three of them. He didn't create the slightest awkwardness or offense. He clearly understood the art of social interaction. Even Shen Mo couldn't help but nod. Acting humbly, building connections, knowing when to stop, always smiling, this is a true genius of the Tao of Caution. Compared to Shi Tianhao, geniuses like Xiao Fan, Yi Yan, and Lin Dongshan all seemed lacking. Only then did Song Zhenfei notice Shen Mo and ask.
Oh, and who is this beside Brother Shi?
Shi Tianhao had already prepared an answer and said,
Seniors, this fellow cultivator beside me is named Shen Mo. Earlier, while I was searching for heavenly materials and earthly treasures outside, I was shamelessly ambushed by a few rogue cultivators. Fortunately, fellow Taoist Shen happened to pass by and came to my aid. Otherwise, I might have perished in the vast ocean. Fellow Taoist Shen intends to join our hidden dragon island, so I brought him to Ligan Island. I hope Brother Song can help recommend him.
Song Zhenfei burst into laughter.
Brother Shi really is lucky. Wherever you go, someone lends a hand.
He turned to Shen Mo.
If you were able to save Brother Shi's life, your strength must be considerable. Likely also half Nirvana realm, yes. How about this? Within 30,000 li of Ligan Island, any unclaimed island you like, pick one. Once you've chosen, I'll report it personally to the main island master. As soon as your minor island master token arrives, you'll be officially appointed.
Chapter 594, Mirage Dragon Pearl and Minor Creation Cauldron. Chapter 594, Mirage Dragon Pearl and Minor Creation Cauldron. Song Zhenfei was extremely forthright, clearly already treating Shen Mo as one of his own. His tone and demeanor instantly increased Shen Mo's goodwill toward him. After glancing at the life panel, Shen Mo became certain that this was an upright and steady-hearted good man. Such a kind, virtuous cultivator yet fated to suffer calamity because of Shi Tianhao was truly a lamentable tragedy. Shen Mo cupped his hands.
Thank you, Island Master Song.
Song Zhenfei nodded.
You're friends with Brother Shi, so that makes us friends as well.
It's perfect that you two came. We were just about to begin treasure appraisal, and many of the items are related to dragonkind. I've heard Brother Shi has unique insight in such matters. Why don't you join us?
Upon hearing it involved dragonkind, Shi Tianhao's eyes lit up instantly. Shen Mo also looked at the items placed before the three. In front of Song Zhenfei was a heavy, pitch-black stone slab, carved with dragon-shaped patterns, majestic and solemn. The engravings were highly unusual. Just a focused look was enough to cause dizziness and confusion. Before Xingzhang stood a small cauldron adorned with 3 dragons, with the characters
Creation.
etched at its center. The 5-clawed golden dragons carved upon it bared their fangs and claws, exuding awe-inspiring power. The surface of the small cauldron bore many marks, evidence of long, weathered years. In front of Liu Yunqiu was a pearl the size of a fist, and when one listened closely, the sounds of ocean waves and dragon roars could be heard within. Song Zhenfei smiled.
Since I'm the host this time, I naturally shouldn't go first. Let Island Master Liu begin.
Liu Yunqiu nodded and infused spiritual power into the pearl. In an instant, thick clouds and mist poured forth. It possessed the ability to obscure divine sense and perception.
Withdraw!
With a low shout, Liu Yunqiu drew the mist back into the pearl in an instant. She smiled.
This is said to be a bloodline technique of the legendary Mirage Dragon, stored within this pearl. Since the Mirage Dragon bloodline has long been extinct, this Mirage Dragon pearl is priceless.
With proper refinement, it could at least become a high-grade heaven-tier spiritual tool worth 500,000 top-grade spirit stones.
Song Zhenfei clicked his tongue in amazement and immediately gave her a thumbs up. Xingzhang gave a cold snort.
Yours is no good, nothing but a petty trick. My minor creation cauldron is the real deal.
Liu Yunqiu laughed in exasperation.
Fine, then show it off. If it's not more powerful than my Mirage Dragon Pearl, you can call me Mother.
Xingzhang sneered and began infusing spiritual power into the small cauldron. The minor creation cauldron immediately radiated a brilliant light. Next, Xingzhang took out a precious herb, overflowing with medicinal fragrance.
Everyone, watch closely. This is a low-grade heaven-tier herb called moonwatch grass. You should all be familiar with it.
He said with a strange grin. Song Zhenfei, Liu Yunqiu, and Shi Tianhao all nodded. Moonwatch grass grew across various islands in the southern sky archipelago. It was considered a relatively common heaven-tier herb. Song Zhenfei asked in surprise.
Manager Xing, why did you bring out moonwatch grass? Are you planning to refine pills?
Xingzhang gave a slight smile.
Watch and you'll see.
He tossed the moonwatch grass into the minor creation cauldron. The light quickly retracted inward. In a blink, the moonwatch grass was refined into a piece of irregular, emerald green essence. Next to it lay a lump of pitch-black residue. Liu Yunqiu and Song Zhenfei were both momentarily stunned.
This is.
Song Zhenfei was slightly shocked.
Could it be that you extracted the essence of the moonwatch grass and removed its impurities?
Liu Yunqiu suddenly exclaimed. Xingzhang smiled smugly.
Exactly.
Chapter 595, A Rare Scheme in Setup. Chapter 595, A Rare Scheme in Setup. After a moment, Song Zhenfei finally exclaimed.
To think it can extract the essence from heavenly materials and earthly treasures. What kind of treasure is this?
Xingzhang replied unhurriedly.
From what I know, the Dragon Clan once possessed a heaven-earth creation cauldron capable of refining the essence of all materials in the world, stripping away impurities. This minor creation cauldron naturally isn't that one, but it should be an imitation. Of course, it can't refine every treasure in existence. I estimate its upper limit is peak heaven-grade items.
Liu Yunqiu's eyes lit up.
Even so, this is an extremely rare and valuable treasure.
Without 5 million top-grade spirit stones, no one could afford it. Xingzhang, your luck is amazing. Where did you get this thing?
Xingzhang snorted.
You think I'd tell you?
Liu Yunqiu gritted her teeth.
Just say what you want in exchange.
Xingzhang chuckled.
I want your Crimson Flame Sky Pearl.
Liu Yunqiu froze, then winced in pain.
Fine deal.
Song Zhenfei was stunned when he heard this and blurted out.
The Crimson Flame Sky Pearl. You're actually willing to trade such a treasure for this minor creation cauldron.
That's the ideal choice for igniting your manifestation and revealing Dao markings.
Liu Yunqiu looked pained.
The Crimson Flame Sky Pearl is indeed valuable, but the minor creation cauldron can endlessly refine heavenly materials and earthly treasures. If I refine enough, its worth will rival that of the Sky Pearl.
Xingzhang snorted coldly.
You should consider yourself lucky. If I weren't urgently in need of treasure, I would never trade this cauldron.
He paused, then said.
Let's discuss the trade later. Island Master Song, what about your treasure? Let's see it.
Song Zhenfei gave an awkward smile.
Compared to yours, this stone tablet seems quite ordinary. Its surface only has some dragon patterns carved into it. I can't understand any of it.
Xingzhang and Liu Yunqiu took a look and both shook their heads. Shi Tianhao glanced at it as well, and a strange light flickered in his eyes. Xingzhang sipped his tea, then said slowly.
Let's begin the exchange. I'm offering this minor creation cauldron. Island Master Liu is willing to trade her Crimson Flame Sky Pearl. Island Master Song, are you interested? If not, I'll finalize the trade with Island Master Liu.
Song Zhenfei gripped the edge of his robe, deep in thought. He was reluctant to give up the cauldron, but also unwilling to part with his own treasure. Seeing his hesitation, Xingzhang added.
To be honest, I think even a Crimson Flame Sky Pearl doesn't match the value of my minor creation cauldron. After all, Island Master Liu's pearl has already been used. Its fire attribute spiritual energy is partially depleted.
But this cauldron can be used endlessly. Sigh, if only Island Master Song could offer a treasure of higher value.
Seeing this, Liu Yunqiu grew anxious.
No, no, old Song, I really need this minor creation cauldron. Don't bid against me.
Xingzhang chuckled.
That won't do, the highest bidder wins. I Xingzhang never make losing trades.
Song Zhenfei pondered a while longer, then suddenly turned to Shi Tianhao.
Brother Shi, you've always understood dragonkind well. What do you think of this minor creation cauldron? Is it worth acquiring?
At that, both Xingzhang and Liu Yunqiu looked toward Shi Tianhao. Especially Xingzhang, his gaze carried a deeper meaning. Shi Tianhao was slightly taken aback. His eyes swept over Xingzhang and Liu Yunqiu. After a brief hesitation, he solemnly nodded.
It's worth it, absolutely worth it. Based on my knowledge of the dragon clan, this item is indeed closely linked to true dragons. It may very well have been personally crafted by the legendary Qingxuan Supreme.
Chapter 596, Manager Xing, there's something wrong with this minor creation cauldron. Chapter 596, Manager Xing, there's something wrong with this minor creation cauldron. Qingxuan Supreme. The moment those 4 words were spoken, Song Zhenfei was shaken to his core. Xingzhang and Liu Yunqiu were also briefly stunned, turning to look at Shi Tianhao. They all knew who Qingxuan Supreme was. A dragon clan powerhouse who had rampaged through the southern sky archipelago 10,000 years ago. So dominant that even other cultivators at the supreme realm in his generation could not lift their heads. He had even dared to challenge a saint. Though he was utterly defeated in the end, he managed to survive under the hands of that saint. That alone showed the terrifying extent of his power. However, Qingxuan Supreme mysteriously vanished 8,000 years ago. Many cultivators speculated that he died somewhere within the southern sky archipelago. All his lifelong inheritances and divine weapons were said to be buried with him, waiting for a fated successor. Any item tied to Qingxuan Supreme would immediately skyrocket in value. Song Zhenfei took a deep breath and nodded repeatedly.
Very well.
Shen Mo, however, let out a quiet sigh. This Song Zhenfei truly regarded Shi Tianhao as a brother. Yet when Xingzhang and Liu Yunqiu cast a single threatening glance at him, Shi Tianhao turned around and betrayed Song Zhenfei without hesitation. A poor judge of character, truly. But it was understandable. Shi Tianhao was simply too skilled at putting on a facade. And Song Zhenfei's heart was far too simple. Falling into a trap like this was only a matter of time. Then Song Zhenfei suddenly stood and said solemnly,
I, Song Zhenfei, possess a family heirloom called the evil-banishing divine thunder pearl. Once refined into a spiritual tool, it can release evil-banishing divine thunder, especially effective against demons and malevolent forces.
Island Master Xing, I believe you've heard of it.
Xingzhang's eyes burned with desire, though he concealed it well.
Vaguely, wasn't it forged by your esteemed father?
Song Zhenfei nodded.
Yes, as you may have heard, my father Song Changjin was a renowned saint-tier artifact refiner in the southern sky archipelago. He crafted 3 complete saint-tier spiritual tools in his life. But one half-finished saint-tier item remained because he passed before completing it. That half-finished item is precisely this evil-banishing divine thunder pearl.
Shen Mo was a little surprised upon hearing this. No wonder Xingzhang and Liu Yunqiu went to such lengths to set up this scheme. A saint-tier item, even if incomplete, was enough to drive people mad. Once obtained, one's power would soar. Against Nirvana realm cultivators of similar Dao pattern quantity, it would guarantee absolute dominance.
Just a half-finished saint-tier tool.
Xingzhang's eyes flickered, but he shook his head with a strained expression. As though trading the minor creation cauldron for the Thunder Pearl would be a loss on his part.
Island Master Song, that stone tablet of yours isn't bad. I happen to be fond of researching dragon script. How about this? Hand over both the evil-banishing divine Thunder Pearl and the tablet, and I'll give you this minor creation cauldron.
Xingzhang tapped the table and slowly spoke, as if making a major concession. Shen Mo couldn't help frowning. That stone tablet was the real treasure here. Its value far exceeded the thunder pearl. Song Zhenfei looked deeply pained, still caught in hesitation. After a long pause, he finally seemed to have made up his mind and said solemnly.
All right,
Shen Mo suddenly spoke.
Manager Xing, there's something wrong with this minor creation cauldron.
Xing Zhang had just been rubbing his hands together in anticipation. But hearing Shen Mo's words, he froze. Then his eyes turned icy as he glared at Shen Mo like a venomous snake ready to strike.
Boy, what did you say?
Shen Mo remained calm.
The surface markings, at a glance they look like wear from age, but in truth they resemble cracks. If Island Master Song buys it, and it shatters after only a few uses, then what?
Chapter 597, Exposing the Scam Platinum Dragon Fist. Chapter 597, Exposing the Scam Platinum Dragon Fist. As those words fell, the expressions of Xing Zhang and Liu Yunqui both changed. Shi Tianhao raised an eyebrow and looked toward Shen Mo. Song Zhenfei's expression also froze, as though recalling something. Liu Yunqui gave a dry laugh.
Surely not. Shopkeeper Xing is the manager of the Rare Treasure Pavilion under the Qingxuan Alliance. He has a solid reputation. He wouldn't do something like that.
Xing Zhang said coldly.
Brat, watch what you say. You claim there's a problem with my minor creation cauldron, then show your proof.
Shen Mo replied with a calm smile.
Simple. Bring out a few more precious herbs and refine them with the minor creation cauldron.
3 attempts at most, and it will shatter on its own. Do you dare to try?
Shen Mo's eyes gleamed like lightning as they locked onto Xing Zhang. Sweat immediately broke out across the sinister-looking old man's body. Beads of perspiration formed densely across his forehead in an instant. At the Nirvana realm, it was rare for a cultivator to lose composure. Unless they truly couldn't control it. Clearly, Shen Mo had hit the mark. Song Zhenfei's gaze instantly turned sharp. He was upright, not foolish. Just moments ago, he had been misled by the cauldron's seemingly divine quality. Now, seeing Xing Zhang's reaction, he instantly understood what had happened.
Shopkeeper Xing, I demand an explanation.
Song Zhenfei said in a low, stern voice. Xing Zhang took several deep breaths, then sneered.
Fine, no trade then. Song Zhenfei, did you really have to put on such a farce, calling in this boy just to frame me?
As if I were scheming to steal your treasure.
I've been the shopkeeper of the Rare Treasure Pavilion under Qingxuan Alliance for over 2,000 years, and my name stands on integrity. I walk upright and sit straight.
He grabbed the minor creation cauldron into his arms and stormed off in anger. Liu Yunqui sighed lightly.
Island Master Song, how could you trust a young boy like this so easily?
Besides, his words were quite harsh.
I was the one who brought shopkeeper Xing here. If this truly were a setup, wouldn't that mean I'm part of the trap too?
With that, Liu Yunqui put away the Mirage Dragon Pearl and turned to leave. In the blink of an eye, only Shen Mo, Shi Tianhao, and Song Zhenfei remained in the hall. Song Zhenfei let out a long sigh and slumped into his seat. Shi Tianhao quickly tried to smooth things over.
Brother Song, I didn't notice the flaw in that cauldron either. I'm truly sorry.
Song Zhenfei waved his hand.
It's not your fault. If not for this fellow Taoist Shen, I wouldn't have noticed anything either.
He turned and cupped his fists toward Shen Mo, speaking solemnly.
Many thanks, Taoist. If not for you, I might have handed over my father's heirloom.
Shen Mo nodded slightly.
It was a small effort. No need for thanks, Island Master Song.
Song Zhenfei's tone grew more serious.
I, Song Zhenfei, always repay kindness. If there's anything you have your eye on, just say the word. Any treasure within Ligun Manor, if you want it, it's yours.
Shen Mo didn't waste time with pleasantries. He pointed at the stone tablet before Song Zhenfei and said,
To be honest, I've taken a liking to this stone tablet. It's of great use to me.
Song Zhenfei said in surprise.
It only contains a few ancient true dragon characters. But since fellow Taoist Shen likes it, then please take it.
Chapter 598, Xing Zhang's hatred. Shi Tianhao pays a visit. Chapter 598, Xingzhang's hatred, Shi Tianhao pays a visit. If Shen Mo could study this stone tablet in depth, he would not only be able to comprehend the Platinum Dragon Fist, but also learn a vast array of dragon language script. In the future, when exploring Dragon Clan ruins, it would serve as a solid foundation. Though he had only just arrived, Shen Mo had already learned from Shi Tianhao that the seas of the southern archipelago buried many ancient Dragon Clan ruins. Many cultivators had soared to greatness after discovering such ruins and obtaining treasures by chance. It was also widely rumored that the Dragon Clan had established the Flame Flood Dragon Hall in the southern archipelago. On the surface, it served the 4 sacred dragon palaces by collecting rare materials, but in truth, it was used to recover treasures left behind in the ruins of their ancestors.
It's getting late. Why don't the two of you stay here in Ligun Manor for the night? Tomorrow, I'll personally take Taoist Shen to select an unclaimed island.
Song Zhenfei said sincerely. Shen Mo nodded.
All right, then I'll thank Island Master Song in advance.
Shi Tianhao also nodded in agreement. Elsewhere, Xingzhang and Liu Yunqui had left Ligun Manor. The two of them stepped into a secluded corner with no one around. Xingzhang gritted his teeth.
Damn it, I was one step away from succeeding. And that little brat had to ruin everything.
Liu Yunqui said coldly.
Shi Tianhao was still playing along to save face, but that Shen Mo actually dared to expose us outright. He's asking for death.
Xingzhang sneered.
If I don't take revenge for this, I'll have lived my whole life in vain.
Didn't Song Zhenfei say he wants to appoint him as an island lord?
No rush. Once he settles down, I'll personally send him on his way.
Liu Yunqui nodded.
All right, I'll keep you informed of his whereabouts.
That night, inside a guest room in Ligun Manor, Shen Mo had been cultivating for some time and turned his senses inward toward his divine palace. He noticed that his manifestations had grown stronger again. The primal elephant manifestation and blazing heaven eye manifestation had each reached 10 Dao patterns. The undying river manifestation had reached 7 Dao patterns. If all 3 manifestations were unleashed together, he would have the power of a Nirvana realm cultivator with 27 Dao patterns.
With this level of strength, combined with my eternal flames and martial techniques, I can already handle ordinary Nirvana realm cultivators. Xingzhang and Liu Yunqui will definitely come looking for trouble-perfect targets to test the edge of my blade.
Shen Mo remained calm. He didn't take their grudge seriously at all. As for the Platinum Dragon Fist, he would study it slowly after settling in. Knock, knock, knock. A knock came at the door.
It's me, Shi Tianhao.
Shen Mo said with a faint smile.
Come in.
Shi Tianhao pushed the door open and sat down in front of Shen Mo.
It's quite late. What brings you here?
Shen Mo asked casually. Shi Tianhao spoke earnestly.
Today, you exposed Xingzhang and Liu Yunqi's scheme on the spot. That alone proves your integrity, Brother Shen. At first, I didn't mention the Golden Page's true value because I wasn't sure of your character. But now I'm no longer worried. I'm willing to tell you.
Shen Mo chuckled lightly.
Oh, then tell me, what's it for?
Shi Tianhao said seriously.
It's the Azure Gold Page. It contains the location of the Azure Supreme's tomb.
Many people have searched for it over the years. Even top factions in the southern archipelago, like Qingxuan Cavern, have been trying to piece together this Golden Page map. Shen Mo raised an eyebrow.
The Azure Supreme, that's the one you mentioned earlier today. No wonder.
A supreme-level powerhouse who dominated his generation. A true dragon at the Supreme Realm who once fought a saint and survived. His tomb would certainly be filled with countless treasures. No wonder even Qingxuan Cavern was pursuing it.
I hope to join hands with you, Brother Shen, to explore the tomb. When the time comes, we'll split the treasure 50-50.
Shi Tianhao solemnly extended his hand.
What do you say?
Chapter 599, Emerald Dragon Fist and Tyrant Dragon Fist. Chapter 599, Emerald Dragon Fist and Tyrant Dragon Fist. Shen Mo raised an eyebrow. He thought to himself Shi Tianhao's disposition was truly extraordinary. He was actually willing to reveal the Golden Page's purpose and even proposed seeking treasure together with a 50-50 split. Whether he was sincere or not was one thing, just this kind of rhetoric already outshone talents like Yi Yan.
All right, I accept.
Shen Mo nodded solemnly. Of course he would accept. How else would he shear this sheep more quickly and thoroughly? As Shen Mo looked at Shi Tianhao, who was currently glowing with recent fortune, his heart was brimming with delight. Recent fortune 1 parts ways with Song Zhenfei and Shen Mo, heads to Q Long Island. While passing an unmarked island, discovers a dormant volcano underground, claims it as his own, and obtains an earthfare essence. Recent fortune 2, 1 year later, participates in the Qingxuan Alliance's grand auction. Acquires a stone tablet at a low price, which turns out to be the Saint-grade martial art Emerald Dragon Fist. Recent fortune 3, after leaving the auction, is pursued by Yin Zhanghua, Lord of Qingxuan Cavern. During the chase, passes through Ligun Island. Song Zhenfei delays the pursuer but is slain. Shi Tianhao escapes. During his escape, he discovers a glowing shell beneath the sea. Upon retrieving it, finds the Saint-grade martial art Tyrant Dragon Fist engraved on its surface. Recent fortune 4, 5 years later, participates in a battle between Hidden Dragon Island and the Qingxuan Sect over undersea volcano fields. While both sides clash, he sneaks into the depths and collects a large amount of earthfire essence. Uses the opportunity to break through and steps into the Nirvana realm. Recent fortune 5.
Sincere exchange.
Shi Tianhao left satisfied. In his view, having been so humble and accommodating, Shen Mo would certainly believe him now. As for whether the treasures would really be split if they found the Azure Supreme's tomb, that would depend on strength. Shi Tianhao was extremely confident in his own talent. By then, his cultivation would surely surpass Shen Mo's. Whether to keep his word would be entirely up to him. Shen Mo watched Shi Tianhao's departing back with a faint, amused smile. Earlier that day, if not for his intervention, Xing Zhang and Liu Yunqiu would have succeeded in swindling the evil bane Divine Thunder Pearl. Shi Tianhao had tried to help them, Xing Zhang would certainly have repaid the favor. He might have even managed to get the stone tablet from Song Zhenfei. But now all of that had been ruined, and Shi Tianhao got nothing in return. The resentment he held against Shen Mo had long since formed. He simply hadn't shown it on his face yet. The next morning, at first light, Song Zhenfei personally led Shen Mo and Shi Tianhao in search of an unclaimed island. As the island lord himself, the fact that he was willing to take the lead showed how much he appreciated Shen Mo's help the day before. Shi Tianhao, not wanting to waste time, said,
Brother Song, I'll leave this matter to you. I need to hurry back to Q Long Island.
Song Zhenfei was about to nod when Shen Mo smiled and said,
Then let's escort Taoist Shi back to Q Long Island first. My business isn't urgent.
Chapter 600, I am fated with this island.
Taoist Shen, this island looks large at first glance, but in truth, its spiritual energy is lacking and the soil is barren. It's not a great place. Taoist Shen, this island isn't bad. It has abundant resources and even a small spirit stone vein, just a bit small in size. This island is quite good. It has 2 mines over 100 mu of fertile spirit fields. Plenty of cultivators have tried to buy it, but I never sold. Taoist Shen, take a look at this island.
Song Zhenfei was very enthusiastic, explaining everything in full detail. He truly left nothing unsaid, sharing all he knew. This left Shen Mo deeply moved. In the ruthless world of cultivation, where the strong prey on the weak and deception is rampant, someone as genuine as Song Zhenfei was rare indeed. No wonder Xing Zhang and Liu Yunqiu had plotted just to swindle his demon-banishing Thunder Pearl. After flying for a while, Shi Tianhao suddenly seemed to sense something and turned to look toward a small island in the southeast. Shen Mo had been observing Shi Tianhao closely. Seeing this, he looked in the same direction. From their angle, only the outline of the island could be seen, the specific details were unclear. Song Zhenfei smiled.
Taoist Shen, interested in that island. It's just an ordinary one.
The islands under my Ligan Islands jurisdiction are divided into 4 grades supreme: high, middle, and low. That one at best is a middle grade island. It's far inferior to the high grade ones I selected for you earlier.
Shen Mo smiled faintly.
I just had a passing sense. Perhaps it's a sign of fate. Could I trouble Island Lord Song to introduce it to me?
Song Zhenfei laughed heartily.
Of course, we're friends, no trouble at all.
He immediately said.
That island doesn't have a name, but there's a black iron mine on it and dozens of mu of spirit fields. However, the black iron mine is buried deep and difficult to extract. And the spirit fields aren't very fertile. Only 4 or 5 mu of land are decently rich, the rest are quite barren.
Several cultivators have tried to buy it before, but gave up after inspecting it personally. Shen Mo nodded lightly.
I'd like to take a look.
The 3 of them flew toward the island. Before long they landed. The island wasn't very large, roughly the same area as the entire Yuding sect. Everything Song Zhenfei said was true. The island's resources were neither great nor terrible. It was modest, not excellent, but better than the worst. Shen Mo nodded.
I feel I'm fated with this island. I'll choose this one.
Song Zhenfei was momentarily stunned, then said seriously.
As your friend, I advise you not to choose this one. It really is just average.
Shi Tianhao's eyes flashed.
Yes, Taoist Shen, Brother Song is right. There's no need to settle for this island. Let's keep searching. There are many high and top-grade islands waiting to be picked.
Shen Mo shook his head firmly.
This is the one.
Song Zhenfei sighed.
All right, since you insist.
Before he could finish speaking, the center of the island suddenly trembled. In the next moment, a wisp of black smoke shot into the sky, giving off a foul smell. Song Zhenfei's expression shifted in astonishment.
Volcanic smoke.
He looked at Shen Mo with delight.
Taoist Shen, your luck is incredible. There's likely a volcano beneath this island. Come on, let's take a look.